Hello, Braveheart. Let's give it a second for other people to trickle in. Can everyone hear me? Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you could hear me. Hello, Nick. I guess you're back in the UK. Hey, T, 65-gallon reef tank. Haven't seen that name before. New one, Justin C. All right. Thank you, guys. Everything good? Everything good? All right. All right, guys. Tonight's topic is preparing your tank for vacation. And this topic, I'm going to be heading out on vacation in about, what is it? I'm looking to the left because my wife is sitting right to the left here. So I think we're leaving on vacation in about 8 or 9 days. So this is a like an open discussion. I want tips. I want to tell you guys what I'm doing to prep my tank for vacation, but I also want everyone else's tips. I think we've all last year when I went on vacation, it wasn't a very good experience as I had a little bit of a return pump failure, a little mini crash. I know I knew the reason why that happened. It's because the morning before I left on vacation, I was in Lowe's and Home Depot changing my return pump. So I knew that happened. So I'm trying to, you can see the tank right behind me there. I'm trying to let the tank breathe and let everything happen. So I guess that's my first thing I want to discuss is before you go on vacation, do not change anything on your tank, anything at all. Hey, Nick said he's just got back from 3 weeks in the US. The tank is all good. Hey, Nick, I don't know if you're busy, if you have a sec, you can jump in, but um, if you have some time, you could tell us about that's 3 weeks, man. I'm worried about a week, and you left your tank for 3 weeks. Bubba says, have plenty of RODI water available. Have someone check on the system. Leave a detailed notebook if they have no background in reefing. Good tips, Bubba. Hello, West Coast Reefing. So yeah, so my I hear the Apex will look after everything. Oh man, we gonna get into that a little bit. We're gonna get into that a little bit. AL. Hey Nick, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. How does it feel to be back?
I I'll be honest, I'm a little sad. I really enjoyed it. It was my first visit to the States and everybody was so nice. Like,
It's your first time to the States.
yeah. But I'll be going back now in September, so that'll be
Uh,
my second time.
all right, so we'll see you at Macna then.
For sure. No, it
Yes.
was really good. Yeah, honestly, I really enjoyed it. I didn't have one dull moment. So yeah, it was good. Really enjoyed it.
All right. So you said 3 weeks, and you said you came back and um, the tank was still doing well. So tell me a little bit about how you prepped the tanks for 3 weeks because I'm a little bit worried about a week, and you have your
Right.
tank going for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, mine's going to be different from yours because I took all the corals out of mine that I had left, so I didn't have to worry about coral. So that's easy, right? But I didn't have any losses of fish. I came back and there's no algae in here. There's no issues with the water parameters were impeccable. Um, I didn't have my lights on all the time and stuff like that, so I made it easy for myself. Um, so yeah, it just ran like had somebody to come in and just top up on RO. But because I just had fish in here, it was pretty easy. But yeah, it's still when I came back, it was still good. There was a little bit of algae on the glass, which you'd expect after 3 weeks, but not a lot because I didn't run the lights on full time. So that's probably a tip that I'd give anyone is don't run your lights as much as you normally would. You're gonna get less evaporation, less algae, and all that kind of stuff.
AL is asking, Nick was in the USA. Where in the US were you?
I was in Texas, and I went around like Houston, Dallas, Austin. I wanted to get over to New Orleans and Florida, but we didn't end up going that far. Basically, it was down to because I was over on business trying to set some stuff up over there, as you know, and I had a lot of meetings that then ran into a lot more meetings. So it was good, don't get me wrong, it was well worth going, and I got a lot of work done, a lot of contacts, and and all that. So it wasn't an issue that I didn't get to go to the other places so much, that I got a lot of stuff done that I wanted to get done. So yeah, it was good.
All right.
So I'll be honest though, I really want to keep going now that I've been there once, because I want to hit, California, San Francisco, New York. So I want to keep going and seeing all the other places there is to see, because there's a lot of stuff I didn't get to see as well.
Well, it's a big country. It's a big country. So
definitely.
you're in 3 weeks and you didn't even get outside of Texas. So like
No.
California. California is going to be like a 4 month, could be a month long, and you still didn't get out the state, because California is Northern California, Central California, Southern California, and so it's a big country.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. And I'll be honest, I'm going to keep working, saving, and every opportunity I get, I'm just going to keep going back, because I enjoyed it that much. And there's so much. The weird thing is, and this is no disrespect to people out there, but I could see so many opportunities for stuff. And I'm like, why aren't these guys doing this? Why aren't these guys doing that? And I love that, because I'm thinking, wow, there's so much that can be done over here. So yeah, I was excited.
Hey, Brian, Business Reef, how you doing? How's everyone doing? Hi, Reef. I'm just saying hi. TMG, I see AL. You guys want to jump in? I posted a link. Just to get back to the topic a little bit, you took corals out, the few corals you said you had left, which I think kind of that's half the thing, because I think we worry more about the corals rather than the fish. So I think that was a smart move. And I know you're always like the lights, what you said you did with your lights. I'm not surprised about that, because that's something you're always kind of saying, even during the cycling phase. Like, you don't have to have the lights running full blast or all the time, or 8 to 10 hours when you have corals. Just run them, when you get home, so you can enjoy the tank. So I'm not surprised you did that. That's something you're always kind of, recommending people doing anyway.
I'll be honest with you, though, if you try it, even on a full reef system, try doing a 3-day blackout every 6 to 8 weeks and see what happens. Because normal hobbyists will be scared crapless, right? They'll be shitting themselves to do it. But honestly, do a 3-day blackout every 6 to 8 weeks and look at your coral. They'll do so much better than you think. Your water will be better, your parameters will be better, you'll have less algae everywhere. You're just knocking things back and letting the corals recover. It's a little bit like fasting your corals for 3 days, like a mini fasting. And if you try it, watch what happens, and you would be surprised.
I got to be honest. I am scared to death.
Exactly, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm scared to death. I'm okay with turning the lights down for a little bit, but in terms of a 3-day blackout, I don't know. Like, I've just seen, and this is totally like just anecdote. Like, I've seen people do it to fight dinoflagellates, and I think I've seen it hurt. Not that it didn't work for the dinos or knock them back, but it did end up hurting the tank. And it could be for a number of reasons. But I think if I had to do something like that for anything, I think that would be sort of like a last resort for me. It's not something I think I would try as part of my routine maintenance. And I'm not saying it just would make me feel very uncomfortable. 3-day blackout. It's just a feeling.
2 days on.
You know what? I'm actually thinking about doing it. So I just basically upheaved my tank over the last couple of weeks.
Right.
And because of that, I'm starting to see what I think is spirulina, a cyanobacteria that I've had before that is really starting to hit the areas that I've redone. So I have I wouldn't really say vacation. My daughter's graduating from Army camp over in Fort Knox. So I was going to go see her, and I'll be gone for a couple of days. I was thinking about doing a blackout during those couple of days to see if that would help. Now, the other alternative thing that I was thinking about doing is hitting a dose of Chemi Clean. I've been trying to avoid it, but at this point, I don't want this to get any worse, especially when I have a whole, 1/3 of my tank right now that I've completely redid, put new rock in there. I've taken so much rock out that I'm wondering about my biological filter. My ammonia is not going up, but I'm wondering the other things that I can't really test for. So I was thinking about doing that blackout to see if I can knock back some of this stuff. And I have heard, it's kind of like a fasting for your corals. And, I'm kicking around the idea. It's interesting. You guys are mentioning, you're talking about it right now, but, I'm thinking about doing it really.
I can say I've done, again, for me, it's just that it just makes me feel uneasy. Like I've gone that week, I think it was in May, when my tank crashed, when my controller crashed, I went down to about probably 40% of my total light output. I went like that for a week or over a week until the controller got fixed, and the corals are fine. So, I mean, I don't it's just making me nervous. That's it. I'm not saying I don't think it'll work. It's just nervous. But
I'm with you too, and that's why I'm thinking about doing it while I'm not here. I don't know if you caught that part or not. I won't physically be when it happens, so it's not like I can come downstairs. I'm in my man cave. I look at my tank, and the lights aren't on. I'm not physically here, so I'm already going to be looking at my apex the whole time I'm gone. But if I'm not physically here and I have the stamina to keep up with it for the few days that I am going to be gone, when I get back, I turn the lights back on. So I'm thinking about it, man. I'm thinking about it.
Okay, you know what? That's a good idea. That's a good point. Where that if you're here every day and you're walking past the tank, see, my tank is I'm sitting where I work every day, where I spend 8-9 hours every day, and the tank is behind me. And if every time I spin around, I see no lights, like that's gonna make me uneasy and nervous. But if you're not here, you're not looking at it.
But how about we look at it objectively then? Let's run through it step at a time. So what Brian is saying is that he's taken a lot of his rock out. He's just replaced it with new rock. And what he's concerned about is that the bacterial loading isn't there, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and what's I think happening it's there because I have a 180 and I've taken out 1/3 of the rock and replaced it with a lower amount of rock. So I think there's bacteria there. It's not like I'm putting up a brand new tank and I have no.
Yeah.
It's just that it's severely limited.
And it's in its infancy still, right?
It's still growing.
All right.
The rest of the tank is fine.
So think about it this way then. So if you limit the light now to that system, what isn't going to happen is that you're not going to get the algae utilizing that light. So at the same time, algae uses in its initial spore stage, it will use ammonia. Then it will use phosphates and nitrates. So what you're going to do by limiting the light is that it's going to leave ammonia in your system. Then what feeds on the ammonia? The bacteria. So in essence, what you're doing is you're cultivating bacteria by not having your lights on.
You're
therefore
right.
Stabilizing the system much quicker, because what you're doing is feeding that bacteria, allowing it to populate, to grow and establish itself. So then when you come back and switch your lights on, it's had a good dose and a good feed of ammonia to boost the levels of the bacteria. So then when you come back and switch your lights on, then what you've done then is the algae can't get the ammonia because the bacteria is using it all. So even though it's got the light, it hasn't got the food source.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think, so let me just, so there's a guy in the chat, Jason Chow. He said he did a 3-day blackout with LPS and softies without issues. And I asked him, how was the tank when he turned it on? And he said his sand was crystal clean.
Crystal clear, same as mine.
You know what? I think that might be the thing for, you know what? I think I might try a day or two when I'm not here, Brian, because my sand right now is looking a little bit dirty. You know what? I think I'm going to try a day, maybe a day and a half. We'll see.
Well,
day,
here's
day and a half.
another thing to think about in the ocean, and you have storms, and how many days could those storms sit in one place in the ocean and cover, you know, an area and kind of reduce the light? So I think of that too. I don't think 3 days will hurt almost any coral, unless the coral was on its way out anyway. I don't think 3 days is going to hurt.
That's a good point you made there, Brian. When a coral isn't doing so well, okay, so your coral's not doing so well, does that mean you should give it light or more light or less light if the coral isn't doing so well?
I would tend to say less light.
Less light. So why would you give it less light?
Because I would think that the internal things within the coral don't have to now protect itself. A lot of the colors and stuff we see in coral are because they're protecting themselves from light.
So think of it in terms of energy. So
it's
when
now
you're
conserving
sick,
more energy. I think
exactly.
it conserves more energy,
right?
Not having the light in. And once again, I don't know. I'm not a scientist, y'all. So don't.
No, I'd say you're right. Absolutely, I agree with you.
But just in thinking, you know, theory.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. When we're sick, what do we want to do? We want to lay in bed, pull the covers over our heads, and just rest. So the energy that our body is exerting is healing energy. We're not running around expending lots of energy, right? And the same with your coral. If it's healing, then don't make it metabolize. Don't make it produce food for itself in that sense. Let it heal itself first and then introduce the light so that it starts then feeding to back that healing process up.
I want to step back to a little bit something that Brian said about in the ocean. So I'm Jamaican. I'm from nice tropical Jamaica. And, you know, in our rainy seasons, I'm not saying that happens every rainy season, but you can have some days where the sun rarely comes out. I mean, if it does, it just peaks. But we don't have spring, summer, winter. We don't have those seasons in Jamaica. You just have dry season and you have 2 rainy seasons throughout the year. I think, is it April, May, and then like September, October through November. And you can have a day or 2, maybe 3, sometimes where the sun isn't out a lot, where it barely, you know, it's dark and rainy all day for a couple of days. So that's actually not, that's actually a good point, is that, you know, like 2 or 3 days of like darkness or very low light won't kill them.
And the other thing that it does as well, is that if you think about it, our systems that we have are very, very artificial. You know, they're very artificial. And in some respects, I think they're too artificial because we maintain everything and we don't have variance that, you know, the corals and the fish are used to. And I think by having those lulls in like light and things, I think that it allows the coral, like I said, to do other things, you know, to repair itself, to stabilize itself, to maintain itself. And the fact that most people complain about, you know, algae taking over and this happening and that happening, and it allows that to get knocked back. And again, for your bacteria to cultivate, you know. So I think that's why I've always, like, on systems that I maintain, I try and do sort of like a 2 or 3 day blackout every sort of 6 to 8 to 10 weeks. And I find it keeps the water crystal clear, which has its own benefits with less particulation in the water. You know, I just find it's more beneficial than you'd realize.
I think I think that's gonna be. I think I'm gonna do it. I think you guys just convinced me to try. Not 3 days, maybe a day or 2. So between now and when I leave, if everything in the reef is doing great and I feel fully confident right before I leave, I think I might do a day or 2 blackout.
Yeah, you know me. When have I ever suggested you do anything that has harmed your tank? You know, when have I ever suggested anything to you that I thought may, you know, cause you some grief?
It's not, you know, it's not that I think you're giving me bad advice. It's just my feeling just makes me nervous. But yeah, it's just, it would make me feel, I'm not going to lie to myself. Like, I think I wouldn't be able to do it just looking at it every day. But I like what Brian said, where he's not going to be here. So, you know,
but what's going to happen though when you do it for, say, 2 days and you go, wow, that actually looks better now I did that? Would you then go, I might try that 3-day thing. And then you do it and you go, actually, yeah, it looks really good. I'm now going to do that every 10 weeks because it looks better.
You know what? Baby steps. But
Mm-hmm.
if I try it and it looks good, then yeah, I'm willing to try it again. Then it's one of those tools in the toolbox. You kind of file it away in the toolbox, and you say, I don't think, honestly, I don't think I'll do it every 10 weeks as part of maintenance. But I do know that if I'm struggling with an algae issue, I can use that to sort of knock it back. Where, I can file that away in the toolbox where I see algae developing, or I'm starting to get dinoflagellates again, or something, or you see cyano or something. You just file it away in the toolbox and say, hey, I've done that before, and nothing happened to the reef. So let me do it again to, not that it's going to kill algae, but, algae needs light. So when you use light along with whatever else you use, maybe when there's some algae where, you physically try to go in and try to pull it out, and it's turf algae and it's hard to get out. But maybe after a 3-day, blackout, you kind of soften it where it's easier to go in and pick it out. So if it's successful for 2 days, 3 days, then I'll put it in the toolbox. It'll be one thing I'll put in the toolbox and bring it out when it's needed.
But what if you don't think of it as a solution to a problem? And what you notice after your 3-day blackout is your coral coloration is better, and the polyp extension is better, and your water clarity is better. The rocks are cleaner. The sand is cleaner. Everything that you could imagine if somebody said, hey, Seymour, what would you like to see in your tank? And you'd say, better growth, better coloration, better polyp extension, clean rocks, clean sand, clear water. What if your 3-day blackout did that for you if you did it every 10 weeks? Isn't that the goal? Isn't that what you're aiming for? Doesn't it then become a maintenance tool rather than a problem solution?
Yes. What you're saying is right. But again, let me do it baby steps,
Sure.
Baby steps. Yeah. Baby steps. Like, let me do it first. Let's see how it turns out. And then I'll be open to kind of, doing it. Like if I do it, like you said, if I do it and it's the best thing since sliced bread, then heck yeah, I'll figure out a way to, do more of it. Why not? I'll figure out a way to do more of it.
That's why I like you, because you're willing to give things a go. And that's why I say to people, I don't reef by fear, reef by design, right? Understand what you're doing and what you're doing and why you're doing it. Do it that way rather than I don't want to do this or I better do this because I've heard that, or people tell me that, or people say this or say that. And if I don't do it, my fish will die, my coral will die. And if I do this, then my fish will die and my coral will die. Sometimes a lot of it is just thinking, like Brian was saying when I said, do you think it's better if a coral isn't doing too well to give it more light or less light? And he's like, well, less, because then it's conserving its energy, letting it heal. So when you think it through and it kind of makes sense, that's when you're reefing by design. When it's a case, well, I've been told that I need to have my lights on for 10 or 12 hours a day, otherwise my corals will die. Then you're reefing by fear because you're not really putting the puzzle together, if you know what I mean.
The one thing I've learned in the 6 years I've kept a reef tank is that there is no one way to do anything. And someone can do something, and whatever kind of, I don't know what the word is, whatever kind of design, whether it's by design or just by accident, but whatever is that total thing of their system together works for them, then you have to figure out that balance that works for you. Like I know, yeah, you have to figure out what fits with your lifestyle. Like I'm not the type of person who can do weekly or bi-weekly water changes. I've tried the no water change thing, and I don't think it works for me. But I'm not the type of person who wants to do weekly or bi-weekly water changes. So, you kind of, I think I've found that balance in my system where I do periodic water changes, but it works for me. And I think it works for my, my style where I don't cut them out. I don't leave them for every 5-6 months, but I do them, every 2 months. I do big ones or split 2 small ones up every month, but it works. It's the good balance for me. So you just have to find the balance that works for you. You
Yeah,
just have to
that's
find
it.
whatever
Yeah,
balance.
exactly.
I think Biz tried no water changes, and you said you didn't like it or it made you uncomfortable.
Hated it.
Oh, strong words, man. You would.
Yeah, I didn't like it. In fact, I've doubled up on water change. I probably do. Um, I'm probably changing water one every now and then. I'll do twice a week now. Um, but I'm also fighting some other things in my tank. I'm fighting some tin in my tank, so the water changes are trying to remove that as well. And I've sent out a recent Triton test. I've had tin in my tank for quite some time, and the level has gone up. That scares me. I mean, you guys will see my tank if you watch my channel. You know what my tank looks like. So the level of tin is getting to scare me at this point. So that's another reason why I've started doing water changes again and have really increased them.
And I've also, well, I haven't gone twice a week, what you're doing, but what I've done is whenever I see a problem, not that I run immediately to a water change, but now I'm battling nutrients. And water changes is one of the things that I'm using to battle nutrients. I could use GFO on some of these things, excuse me, but
Yep.
water changes is one of the things. So again, it's just a tool. It's a tool. And I honestly, I think I was one of those people that when Triton came out, and I'm going to apologize for this, one of the people that kind of touted Triton as this no water change system when I don't think it was. I kind of maybe harped on the fact that, hey, you don't do water changes, which that's absolutely not true. Like, you don't do them as with the proper system design. You shouldn't need to do them every week or as a part of regular maintenance. It is a tool that you should keep around to do when you have issues or when things are out of whack. Like when I did a Triton test and ICP test, and I had a bunch of levels that were up, down, up, down. When I added up the cost of buying all the little trace elements to get everything in back in balance, it was just cheaper to just buy a good salt and just do a couple of water changes, string a couple together over the course of a couple of weeks. And when I sent out a follow-up ICP test, everything was back on, back within balance. So,
I mean, to be fair, Seymour, though, that is kind of the Triton method, because Triton doesn't say don't do water changes. And you're right. When people say to me, oh, I have to buy all the little bottles, and I say to them, no, just do a water change, because there's no point. The little bottles are more a case of if you've got particular amounts of particular corals that are taking particular uptake in things, so you have to readdress that. But, little tweaking because of the type of corals you got that are growing. But yeah, I'd agree with you. Rather than buying 20 of the 40 bottles available, how many there are, then why do that? Just water change it. You're doing the same thing. So yeah, I'd agree with what you're doing.
Yeah, I apologize for that, because if you go back and don't go back and listen to me. But I'm just saying, yeah, I think I touted it as this no water change method too much. I know we're having a good talk. I just want to get back on topic.
Sure.
Biz, you got a couple of fans who are saying they dig your videos, DMs. I dig his videos too, man.
Thanks,
hey,
y'all.
Biz, you're getting really good. Like, I gotta say, man, the videos are getting better. Not that you were bad at them, like this is, but they've gotten better. Like now, your titles are on point. You're doing the whole thumbnail thing, like this. Like you're getting better at them. I definitely see a difference.
My son helped me out on my last couple of thumbnails.
All right.
That's how I'm getting him to do things other than play video games.
All right.
But as far as the video production, yeah, man, that's one thing that I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to up the video games. So I mean, I'm trying to up my video game, not video games. So I'm trying different camera angles. I got a gimbal to play around with. I got a microphone to play around with now. So I want to do more. My type of videos has been me hiding behind the camera. You don't see me. And one thing I want to do is have more of me. So I'm going to try to get in front of the camera more. I'm camera shy. So, yeah, I'm trying. So just kind of bear with me. But, I appreciate y'all saying that, thanks.
It's I see a difference. And one thing I've also learned is just what I used to do is just record the footage and then do a voiceover later. And then I'm starting to realize that that's probably double the work. If you can just do a voiceover and just talk about what you want, and just get it in one shot, even if the video is not perfect. If you have B-roll, that works. But yeah, I see what you're doing, man, and I see it. The last video was really good. I liked it.
Thanks, guys. You know, I was having a conversation with Infamous, and one thing he said, and I really took this to heart, and I really started doing it. He said, tell a story. And a lot of times in my videos before, I was showing you my configuration. I wasn't telling you a story. My last video, and I got a few others that I'm gonna release here soon. I want to tell stories. I want to give you my configuration by telling you a story on how I got to where I am. You know, I've been in the hobby for a few years, and I think I have some pretty interesting stories. You know, a good example would be how I came to run a dose on my calcium reactor. You don't normally hear about those kind of things. And there's a story. I didn't just wake up one day and said, I'm gonna do this. There's a story of how I got there. And in telling those stories, I just think that it's more entertaining. Otherwise, you're just looking at me posting up videos of my Apex and showing you my program. You don't know how I got there. And I want to start showing people how I got to where I am. You know, like I said, it didn't just happen overnight. And I think that's more interesting than just,
you know what, Biz?
Showing.
Very good advice. Very good advice.
Hey, I got it from Infamous. I mean, if any of you guys aren't subscribed to Infamous Aquatics, watch his videos. His videos, he's telling the story on every single one. And that's what keeps me into. Plus, his editing is just off the chain anyway. But, you know, it's about stories. You know, all of us know configuration. We know, you know, alkalinity, calcium, magnesium. But tell stories. Let's start telling stories. I think it'll become a lot better.
I actually hate Infamous right now. Because, like, I truly, undoubtedly hate the guy.
Oh man! Tell us the story. Why?
The reason is because I contacted him. I'm like, hey, Infamous, I'm coming over to the States. I'm going to be in Texas where you are. And he went, oh really? I'm going to Europe.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. He travels a lot. And, you know, even his personal blog is great for storytelling.
Oh man!
So I was over where he was at, and he was over where I was at. So
oh man!
Dang it! So I didn't get to meet up with him at all.
Wasn't that hilarious? He was in DC. He was in Washington DC, hanging out with DC Reefer and Inappropriate Reefer. So I saw that.
Right.
Oh
yeah,
man!
he said he was going to go over to Europe at some point, and I was like, when? And he's like, on the same days you're coming over here, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So, tragedy. But can you see how clear my water is, Seymour?
Yeah, I see it. Oh, wait, and inappropriate. Infamous. He's in Houston, right? He's a Houston guy. So
exactly. That's where I was. That's where I landed. I went from Houston to Dallas to Austin, where he's also, I think, he's based in Austin sometimes. And that's where I was based around for the 3 weeks in those 3 areas.
Yeah, the rocks look really clean. Sand
really
looks
clean, right? Look, there's no speck of green anywhere. Look at all that. Carlene starting to take hold. I'm giving you as close up as I can get. Look, it's like nothing.
Hey Biz, while we look at Easy Reefers, Nick's tank, get back to the storytelling thing. So you're going. You said your daughter's graduation for what is it? 3 days? You're leaving for a couple of days?
Yeah. I'll be gone about 3 days. She's in an ROTC camp in Fort Knox, Kentucky. This is her advanced camp that she's doing now. She's a junior in college, and she's on a full ROTC scholarship. So she's graduating from advanced camp. So, you know, we went last year too when she was doing her basic camp. It's not like, you know, your basic training that soldier's tank, that this is specifically for people who are going to become officers. So it's a little different.
Oh, wow.
You know, she's putting all this hard work in, and, you know, at least I can do is go support her at her graduation, no matter where it is. You know, it's a few hours for me, but yeah.
All right. Congratulations. Thanks. What are you going to, anyone takes care of the tank for you on those 3 short days? I mean, 3 days is pretty.
I take care. I take care of it. My Apex. Come on, man. Y'all know me.
Hey, I've after what I went through in May, man. You know, after what I went through in May, I'm not saying I don't love my Apex, because I'm just the tech guy who just, you know, loves technology. That's just my thing. But I'm just taking steps. Not that I'm going to be less dependent on Apex, but I'm building more backups. You know, like for instance, like I'm fully off of gyres now. Like they're gone from the tank. And I told you the way I had my the way I had my gyres running was the Apex was controlling every aspect of flow in my tank. Like they were ramping the gyres up, ramping the gyres down, and
did you get on that pulse surge?
No, I wasn't using the gyre controller. I had the interface modules in the Apex. So when your Apex fails, the gyres fail. So I'm back on my MP40s now, which
this is how I do my flow. Oh, like that.
Yeah. No, I like the gyre flow. I just don't like the fact that
mine's on the gyre. It's just on this little whatever pump it is, an RW4 or something.
RW, yeah.
And then with the RFG, but look at the wave it creates. I should grab a load of corals and chuck them in this thing, Ronnie.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, I'm off the gyres for now. Like I'm off the gyres and I'm back on the MP40s where if the Apex fails and it goes to fallback mode, then my power heads are working. Nothing there. I've actually unplugged. Because when I'm going on vacation, I'm unplugging the. You know, I'm taking the return pump off the Apex and I'm putting it in its own outlet. Mm-hmm. So you know, if Apex fail, like at least there's some flow. Like I can't go again where I'm out of town and whatever happened, there's no flow in the tank. So that's gonna be on a separate outlet, on a separate breaker. Like there's going to be a cord running across the living room, but no one's going to be home. So it doesn't really matter. So if something happens and that switch flips, at least I have a return pump, you know, running.
So this is what I'm doing. So I've been thinking a lot about, you know, leaving the tank and everything for a while. Now I have fallback mode set up. I have my Apex set up to where if it crashes, if the brain unit crashes, it will take care of itself. You know, I turn things off, leave things running. My fear, though, of leaving are storms and losing power to my house.
Right.
That's my fear of going on vacation and leaving, is that I know the Apex can take care of itself if there's power in the house, just the way the system is built. So what I've gone and done, you guys are getting a little sneak peek on a future video coming up here, but I've went out and I've purchased a couple of backup units, the uninterruptible power supplies. I have two of them. Both of them can do 900 watts each. So I have two main EB832s that are on my main display tank and my bubble tip tank. Now, my quarantine tank and my fish quarantine and my coral quarantine tanks, they don't have these systems. So if I lose power, I'll lose the things in there. I don't have any fish in quarantine right now, and I have very minimal stuff in my fish on my coral quarantine. So I'm not really worried about it. I'm worried about the 180 in the bubble tip tank. So how I have my system set up now, if my Apex detects that I lose power, the Apex will start shutting stuff off. It's going to shut off the heaters. It's going to shut off the lights. The only thing that it's going to run, one UPS is going to run the MP40s at a very reduced speed. I just want flow in the tank. The other backup unit is going to run the core, once again, at a very reduced rate. I'm going to turn off the skimmer. I'm going to turn off everything else. So it's basically just on a backup power mode. And it's going to stay like that until the power comes back up. Now, I haven't done all the tests I want to do yet before I leave. I got a few, days, weekend left or whatever. But I'm hoping to be able to run on backup power for hours and hours. Once again, I have 900 watts to play with as far as being able to run things. I can run all four of my MP40s in my 180-gallon tank probably at about 10, 20 watts on a very low speed. I can run my core, same thing. Right now my core is taking up 38 watts. I can probably reduce the flow in half and just have enough ripple at the surface to not worry about it. So that's my concern now. I have a generator. I have a backup generator that's, it's a manual generator. If I'm here, I can pull the generator out and power, do the same thing. But my fear is there's a storm here in St. Louis. I'm not here. Power goes out, or even I'm at work. I can't leave. Power goes out. Can my tank sustain itself for 8 hours? That's what I'm worried about now.
I've got a couple questions for you there. Maybe Apex related. You're going to have to, and I have your email. How do you get the core to run in reduce mode when it loses power? That's the first question. And what percentage are you running your core where it's taking 34 watts?
So I'm running my core right now. Let me go. I'm running it at 100%, but my max speed is 45% right now. And at 45%, my flow meters are showing that my left and right returns are kicking out about 200 gallons per hour.
Each or together?
Each. Wow. Plus my GFO is doing 31 gallons. My bubble tip tank is doing 104 gallons. My carbon reactor is doing 87 gallons. So I have enough flow. I believe in slow flow through my sump anyway.
But I'm running mine at 70%. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't do the whole, I didn't calibrate mine. I just know I'm running it at 74%, 70%, and it's taking 62 watts.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm running mine at 45% max speed. So,
but you're taking less. But you're drawing a lot less. Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm drawing a lot less. And I have my core plugged into my EB832, so I can tell exactly how many watts it's taking. I can compare what the EB832 is saying to what the core control is saying. So on the EB832, it's telling me it's taking 39 watts, and now it just jumped up to 39. So it's normally within a watt. So
mine is the pump is telling me it's taking 59. There's a big, while the EB8 is saying it's taking 63. So there's a 4-watt difference.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, if you are like me and want to do less flow through the sump, I just like less flow through the sump. I like to give the water more contact time in the skimmer, and I have a UV reactor down there too. So, I want to give it as much time as possible. My flow in the tank is controlled by 4 MP40s. I have enough flow, I believe, in my tank.
See, I'm the opposite with that one, Brian. I'll be honest.
Really?
Yeah, I like a good turnover.
Why would you want to have a fast turnover in the sump when you want to give more contact time to the water?
Yeah, see, I think about it a different way to that. I used to do it that way, but then I kind of flipped the other way around, because then I'm thinking it goes back to the days when we used to fill the tank full of rock. And then we used to battle all the entrapment and all the decay that you got, because now all the fish poop and the fish food is in the rock decaying away. So then I used to start thinking, well, if I have less rock in there, there's less entrapment. So then I've got the bits floating in the water, not getting trapped in the rock. So now I've got dirty water. The only way to make that water clean is to get it to my skimmer and my reactors, right? So how do I get it there? Well, I need to put the water to it. So then I started thinking, well, the more often the display water is presented to the skimmer, the more opportunity it's got to take out those particulates out. So for example, if I had, 10 times turnover rate, so the particles in my display tank go out the weir into the sump, go past the skimmer. Some of them go into the skimmer, some of them go into the return section and get blown back into the tank. So of those particulates that are spinning around and around and around, they're only going to be presented to that skimmer 10 times an hour. But if I times that by 5 and I have a 50 times turnover, which I know is stupid, but say a 50 times turnover, then now that same particles that go past the skimmer are now presented to it 50 times an hour. So the chances of that skimmer taking it out of the water has just increased by 5 times.
But wouldn't it
because
be
I'm
kind of the
presenting
same?
it to the skimmer more often.
Wouldn't it be the same thing? Because now with a slower turnover, that particle is now circulating. You see, and my sump is built a little different. I don't have like chambers and everything in my sump. So
right.
My sump is just another tank. I don't have, baffles or anything in that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've done that.
It could be a little different because of how our sumps are. If you have a sump that has baffles, then you're right. Water's only going to go through that little area once. But in my sump, that water can circulate. Yeah,
but the dirty water in your display, though, stays in your display because it's only going to go into your sump. Say you run yours at like a low turnover, say 3 times an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
so
that's
the
close.
dirty water stays in your display. It's only 3 times the chance of it going around.
The chances of it going back to the display are reduced. And I think we're thinking the same thing.
Yeah. But then it's dwell time, because if you think, where are your fish? Where's the fish poop? Where's the fish food? Where's the decay? Is it in your sump or is it in your display? It's in your display, right?
It's in the display, but also most of the rock is in the display to break down the ammonia and everything else.
Yeah, but that's why, if you remember what I said was, in the old days, like, we used to put a lot of rock to deal with, to hold the bacteria, to deal with it, because we were running slow turnover. So the idea was that the dirty water is in the display, so we need the bacteria with that dirty water for the bacteria to make it clean. But what I do now is I have less rock in the display so that it doesn't trap that dirt and hold it in the display. And then we use the Biohome or Cyperax or Brightwell blocks or whatever you use to put into the sump. So now you've got much more bacterial action, like filtration, in the sump than you could ever get from the live rock, because that filter media is 100 times more surface area than you could get in the rock. So now, where do you want the dirty water to be? Do you want it to be in the display where you've got less rock and you want more coral? Or do you want the dirty water to be in the sump where your skimmer is, where your filtration media is? Because the quicker you get it to that media, the quicker that bacteria can work on it. So I would say the water in your sump is cleaner than the water in your display. But where are all your corals and your fish?
Not really.
They're not. Do you see what I mean?
I see what you mean, but in my example, my sump is dirty to the point where I've actually used wet vacs to clean it out, because it does
you got settlement.
Yes, I do.
Right. Then here's a tip that you can try as well, Brian. Because when I do a baffleless sump, so like you said, just an open tank, what I do is I'll put a little return pump or a circulation pump in the sump, pointing in the opposite direction to the flow. What you do by doing that is you don't get any settlement, because it's kicking that settlement up into the water column so that it can get taken out by your skimmer. Because if you leave that settlement in, it's just adding more and more decay. Because the whole thing with particulates, it can't add to your system if you take it out. That's why we started using filter socks and filter flosses to trap it, to then remove it out, rather than let it decay.
Doesn't it just settle in another? I understand what you guys are saying, and I think I'm somewhere in the middle, because when the skimmer I have now, which is this little Tunzi skimmer that I absolutely do like, but I think the flow rate on this is just a lot less. And I do notice that when I get fast flow through the display tank, the skimmer doesn't work as well, versus this skimmer skims well, but it needs a longer contact time than maybe the Vertex, that I think had a better pump and, could process more water per hour. So I think it depends on your skimmer and your filtration. Maybe try to tune that turnover to whatever your skimmer and your filtration in the sump can handle. And just what you said, Nick, I kind of agree with what you said about a pump, but I just think that detritus or that film or whatever it is, it'll just find the least flow area to settle anyway. Like, if it's not going to settle in that chamber and you add a pump, wherever is the lowest flow area, whether it's in your display or somewhere else in the sump, it might be another area in the sump that's lower flow. It'll just find
it's difficult though, because what Brian's talking about is a baffleless sump. So it's basically a big square tank.
Oh, you don't have
with
a baffle in your sump?
Yeah, maybe a
Yeah.
bubble trap for the return section.
Oh,
That's
wait.
it. There's no
What-
sections, so then there's nowhere for it to hide. So if you put a circulation pump in there and you point it to the opposite direction, you actually do another thing as well, which is interesting. Because if you look at, we all know, if you increase the oxygen saturation in your tank, it helps everything, because everything needs oxygen, right?
Mhm.
So if you Google how to increase oxygen in water, one of the things that it'll come up, it'll say increase turbulence. So what you're doing by pointing that circulation pump in the opposite direction to the flow of your sump is the water's coming one way and you've got the pump facing the other way. You're creating turbulence because you're forcing the water to hit together, come together. So then you automatically increase the oxygen saturation level. So you guys, like I was over in Houston, Dallas, it was hot, right? 100 and sometimes over Fahrenheit. So it's warm. So a lot of the times you guys are battling, trying to keep your temperature of your tank down. Now, one of the issues with warm water is that it's harder for the water to hold oxygen. So by creating more turbulence and you having that higher temperatures over there, you're actually counteracting the effects of the warm water. It's because you're creating more turbulence, therefore creating a higher oxygen saturation. So if you think about decay, how do things break down quicker to neutralize it? Oxygen, right? Because if you think of metals and things, what causes them to rust? Oxygen. So by increasing the oxygen levels in your water, you're also then increasing the decay time, like quicker to decay. So it's rendered more neutralized quicker rather than go through a slow release decay period. And then if you think about it, what other things benefit from oxygen? Bacteria benefits from oxygen as well. So you're increasing bacterial colonization, you're increasing the decay speed of the particulates in the water, you're increasing the oxygen saturation for your animals, and you're managing that that dirtiness, if you like, a lot more effectively. And that's just by putting a circulation pump in your sump the opposite direction to your flow. You're getting all those benefits from that one additional little bit of kit.
Now, I agree with you. One way I'm having circulation in my sump, of course, I have the overflow going down, but I also have a UV sterilizer in there, which I use a Vectra. My return used to be a Vectra. I took it off for the core, and I never sold the Vectra, so I use that as my feed pump for the UV sterilizer. Right. So I take the output of the UV sterilizer, and I have that doing more circulation in the sump.
Gotcha.
Well.
Yeah.
So that's how I do that. I used to run filter socks, but I'm lazy. If I could find a way to automate filter socks with my Apex, I would have, but I can't figure that part out. So
I don't use the filter socks as filter socks. What I do is I put filter floss in the sock. So then the filter sock becomes a filter floss holder. And then I find the socks are a pain in the ass to clean.
They are.
So if you
I don't use them anymore.
Yeah, if you put floss in there, you can just pull that floss out every 2 days, rinse it, chuck it back in. It's a lot quicker than trying to clean your filter socks. And you won't need to clean your filter socks because they're not getting bunged up and dirty.
That's a great idea. That may be my fix for the filter socks, because I've taken my filter socks out. I rarely use them. I only use them when I'm doing maintenance and I just blew all the rocks off in my display tank and I'm catching detritus. Other than that, I hate them. So I may try. I'm taking use kind of like a larger micron type of filter sock. So you have flow going through it, and you're just using the filter floss itself to do the filter.
Exactly, yeah. Because as soon as that gets a little bit like it changes color from white to like a little bit brown, take it out. Throw it away or rinse it and reuse it, whichever. But what you're doing is those particulates that have been caught in there are then out of the system. If you leave it to where it's black, what you've been doing, it's like you've been making like coffee, because as that filter floss goes brown and brown and browner, the water going through it is carrying, minute particulation through it. So when I see people saying, "Oh, I changed my filter socks when they get full and don't flow anymore, it overflows the top," well, all that time it's been building up. The water's been hammering through, leaching particles back into the water, like a tea bag. You know, if you think about it, the tea bag's got the tea leaves inside of it, and you pour the hot water in, what happens to the water? It goes brown because all those stuff leaching out of it. So if you remove the tea bag, as soon as you put the hot water in, the water doesn't change color, right? Because you've took it out. So the aim of the game, I always think, is particulation removal at the first instance. So anything you can do to get it out, a skimmer cup, filter floss, and changing it regularly, you're not then having to deal with the decay that the particulates are causing by being in the water. So straight away, you're doing a massive job just by removing it. Then you can look at bacterial action, less entrapment in your system, and all of those things to deal with anything that's left in there.
I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna take that tip from you. That's gonna be one of the things I take away from this conversation tonight.
I don't even have a filter sock holder anymore, man.
The only one I could probably add, probably my best tip of anything I like, you know, I'll try and give advice if I know what I'm talking about, but probably one of my best tips is food. Don't feed so much, you know, or like Seymour before, you know, make your own food that's cleaner than the stuff that you buy from the stores.
Yeah,
without the preservatives and the phosphates that they use for preservatives and all the zinc and stuff that they put in it. You just go down to the supermarket, buy some fresh shrimp, some clams, some lobster eggs, some whitefish, mix it up yourself, and, you know, feed, you know, sparingly. Like, my fish get fed probably every 2 or 3 days, and they're not skin and bone because they're picking all the time at rocks, and they're picking at bits that are left over in the water. So they're continuously devouring, you know, And then
I'll tell you what, Biz. I was just going to add a little to that. So I spent, I think, $35 on seafood. Seaweed, squid, shrimp, clams. I think it came up to $35. And I made enough fish food that lasted me about 6 or 7 months. And I threw out the rest because I just felt uncomfortable having it in the freezer for 6 or 7 months. So it was, I was only doing it, and I didn't even make a video about this, but I didn't do it because I was trying to save money. I was just doing it just to try something. Like, I think we were talking about food, and Nick just said, hey, just try making your own food. See what it's like. He talked about the whole no preservatives thing, but listen, I wasn't listening to that. I just thought it'd be something fun to try. It was a messy process, and I can definitely do it better. But,
I have a blender just for that because you know
yes.
my wife doesn't.
Oh, my wife.
Use her,
I had to get a new blender. Don't worry. I bought a cheap blender from Macy's that broke, and I used the food processor. And my wife said we're not using that in the kitchen anymore, so I have my own blender.
Yep.
But I created a mess. But my wife said she said next time she'll blend it for me. But it was 6 months. Like, I mean, you're talking about I used to go through a Rod's food every 5 or 6 weeks versus 6, and that's 20 in New York with tax. It's about $23, $24. So it's a lot cheaper. I didn't do it to save. It was just, like I said, it was just something just like, hey, let me try it.
Yeah, I've done it too, and then froze it and then fed it. Yeah.
And I find it's a cleaner food. You know, it's a much cleaner food. You don't have the phosphate issues as much. The fish enjoy it. It's the gear. I mean, if you think about it, the fish are geared up to eat the food in that, you know, in that form, the way it's presented by doing it that way. You know, the whole metabolism, the whole digestive system, they're not designed to eat flakes and pellets. They're designed to eat, you know, food, natural food that you find in the ocean. So to me, it just makes sense, you know?
Yeah, I agree. So, you were talking earlier, how do I have my Apex set up to where it can sense that it has no power, and it goes on battery backup, and I slow stuff down?
Yep.
So first off, what you have to do is you have to buy the power supply for the Apex base. Once you buy that power supply, you go to your setup and you turn on power monitoring, you enable it. Typically you turn off power monitoring on an Apex, and this is the case where you do enable it. What it does is you plug that the power supply for the Apex into the wall. That way the Apex can now sense if the wall has lost power. Wow. If the wall loses power, then you can tell it to do other things. And the code to do that is, let me look in my MP40. The code to do that is if power apex off, then you can use a profile or something else. Like I have a constant 50% profile. So the whole line is if power apex off 000, then VT underscore constant 50. And what it does is when it senses that the apex base unit doesn't have power from the wall, it will then set that pump to 50. Now, my EB832s are plugged into the uninterruptible power supply. So as soon as the power goes off, the EB832s are now on that battery backup. I turn everything else off. I turn heaters, you know, the stuff that uses all the watts, I turn it off. And so the battery backup is only going to run the MP40s or the core at its reduced setting, which is going to save watts. So the idea is to get your watts down as long as possible, so you have as long as possible to run on that battery backup. And then, you know, hopefully I'm in town when something like that happens. I can come home and start up my generator and then run it off the generator until the power comes back on. But my fear is that...
Guys, sorry, I've got to jump out, but I'll see if I can get back on later.
Nope. All right,
no
problem.
Right. Good talking to you. So yeah, if I, you know, if everything is reduced power, I can run off that backup for a while. Now, I had to go get 2 UPSs because the UPSs that I have are only, I think it was what, 800, 900 watts. And I didn't want to spend $500 on a UPS. Now, I could have went out and just got the battery backup for the Vortex. I mean, that does the same thing. But I wanted the option to be able to power other things just in case. The UPSs give me options where the backup for MP40 will only allow me to power an MP40. I can power anything.
I got you. Reef Keeper and I were talking, I think a week or 2 ago, about him getting backup for his gyres. And in the chat, he said, I got those ice cap battery backups from that Dr. Foster's mega sale. They were plug and play, works awesome. And it came with a bunch of splitter cables. So I'm glad you got that sorted out, Phil. I'm looking, I got to get that power supply, only because I've noticed that I have a friend that also works for Neptune. And I just noticed that whenever I'm having issues, whenever he's troubleshooting his Apex, one of the things he does is he always plugs it in. So I just need, I guess for my own troubleshooting purposes, I just need one of that power supply handy.
Yeah, it's $19, man.
Yeah, I need to get it. I need to get it. I definitely need to get it. Yeah, I am just checking. I know, oh man, we went completely off topic tonight, but it was still good stuff. Still definitely good stuff. I'm going to be leaving my tank for a week, and I think I'm going to have my mother-in-law and one of our best friends come over and feed the tank 2 of the days. I don't think my tank needs fed every day when I'm not here. So I think if I'm gone for 6 days, I think 2 times within 7 days is good enough. I'll turn the skimmer down a tad just so it doesn't skim as much. So, you know, I usually empty it every week. I'm not scared of it. I'm going to remove the filter socks. I don't usually run filter socks anyway, but I think now with me battling some nutrient issues, I kind of tie on one of those little cloth filter socks. So I'll remove the filter socks. I'm not, but I think the big thing is just not to mess with the tank, you know, few days before you go on vacation, because I've learned that lesson. Yeah, I absolutely got killed last year when I was going on vacation at 11 a.m. and 6 a.m. I was in Home Depot buying parts to swap my return pump. And of course, you know, it didn't work as well. I went on vacation and return pump didn't work for a week. Tank didn't get dosed. Tank didn't get cooled because the chiller and everything was in the sump, and it was disaster. Ended up being a disaster. So if that's my one advice for you guys, before you go on vacation, don't mess with the tank. Gene U Boy saying, guys, don't forget to add your system to your homeowner or renter's insurance. I live in an apartment. I wonder if apartment insurance covers anything with the tank. Hey, let me see if we have any questions. How is my, well, no one's really asking this, but how's my tank doing? Let me turn around and give it a quick look. It's going well. I think if you look on Instagram, there is a I did a recent Instagram post where I went in and kind of took out all of the some dead coral and some frags that weren't doing well. I went ahead and pulled all the skeletons out. And I think there was a part of me that I had some big Monties that totally bleached. And I think a part of me were trying to kind of wait to see if they would grow back. But I think pulling out all the stuff that was dead or close to death, I think it has the tank looking a lot better. So I'm happy with where the tank is now. Oh man, the only thing O has on Instagram is badass barbecue. Hey, Pelfrey, I got two Instagrams. I don't know which one you are looking at. I have the personal one, O Seymour, that is, yes, that is barbecue. When I'm in Memphis for work, absolutely barbecue. And then I got the Reefing with O one that's all about fish tanks. So I guess we know which one you're following. If you were talking about barbecue, which is, oh man, yeah, look at that, yeah. Hey, Memphis barbecue, you can't mess with Memphis barbecue. Look at that. And compared to New York prices, like look at that. That entire meal, that's from a place called Corky's. That entire meal there was like $20. Ah, I'm reminiscing, man. Oh man, look at that. Look at that barbecue. All right. Hi.
Hey.
All right. I follow both. Don't worry, I'm up to speed. All right. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys can see. That's all the coral I pulled out the other day that died. So Dave, hey Biz, I'm not following you. Let me make sure. So let me finish with this, Dave. So a lot of the corals we ended up buying at when we went to Ultimate Corals, a lot of that stuff bleached. So there it is. That's all the dead skeleton. Last week Sunday, that's all the dead skeleton I pulled out of. So yeah, the tank hasn't been doing well for a couple of months. I think since my controller died. Hang on a second. Let me add Biz. The Biz. The Biz. Oh, I'm following you, man. The Business 514. Look at
Yeah,
him
you
looking
follow me.
dapper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
look at that.
follow.
Man, look at that dapper picture right there, man. With the glasses on a boat. You are about to witness the what? Listen, man.
You never read that before?
No. You are about to witness the strength of geek knowledge. Oh man. Oh man.
Yes, sir.
That
Yes,
is
sir.
awesome. That is awesome. I love. Hey, you know what my project is this weekend, Biz? I am putting up my anemone tank.
Good,
It's
man.
a 10
I
gallon.
see all these people starting enemy tanks now. I wonder why.
Hey, his name is Brian. All right, hang on a second. All right, go back to Tyler. Let me finish. All right. Yeah, and listen, I got the idea from, well, my wife got the idea from watching your video. And because anemones is something we've always, my wife loves anemones. I like anemones. My wife loves anemones. And they tend to always walk around the tank, man, and just cause havoc. They don't stay still. It seems like the strain I have, they always split. So when she saw your video, we said, "Hey, let's create." The other thing is, my wife loves Xenia, so I said, "Hey, let's create a Xenia and bubble tip tank for you."
That have a lot of flow in it. Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah. And I think Billy made a video last week where he did the stand for me. Billy did an awesome job. He drilled the tank for me, so I got to give props to Billy Pipes for. I got to give props to Billy for for like really building. I have a Red Sea tank, which I think they're well built, and I think right next to the anemone tank, this tank that Billy built is gonna look sick. It's gonna look good. I'm putting an AI prime on it, and I'm gonna plumb it into the main system. I'm not looking to create another tank that I have to build separately or do anything. Oh my! Give me a second, guys. Hold on one sec.
Uh-oh, he turned the camera off. Ain't no telling what's happening to him right now.
Oh man, no.
All of a sudden, he's gone now.
Oh no. Hey. Dave said, "Don't put mollies in there." Dave has drip acclimated a bunch of mollies and has put them in his main display. But he says in the little tanks, mollies swim right into the anemones. One big backhand. Hey, no backhand, man. It's 9:21, man. It's time for his bedtime. So I just basically sent him with his brother. They got to go to bed. Oh, I got to give a shout out to SC Reefer for sending me this t-shirt. So I'll leave a link in the description to his channel. But thank you, SC Reefer, for sending me this t-shirt. If anyone has t-shirts, I like t-shirts. I like free t-shirts. So, you can hit me up and I'll wear and I don't have a big channel, but I'll promote the heck out of your t-shirt. I love t-shirts. Who doesn't love free t-shirts? Hey, is SC Reaper here? Oh, yeah, man. SC Reaper's here and I missed him. Oh, man. Hey, Chris, man. Where is he? Did I miss him? Hey, I'm sorry, man. Hey, what's up, buddy? Thanks for the t-shirt, man. I'm really sorry I missed you. I'm terrible at paying attention to the chat. I'm really terrible at it. My wife is constantly texting me. I don't know. I get that's why my son was here. He took my phone. My phone is magically gone. So yeah, so my wife is constantly like messaging me and saying, "Hey, you're not paying enough attention to the chat." So that is one thing I'm not good at, is paying attention to the chat. Hey, Brian, you having a party over there?
My wife is on the treadmill. That's why I keep having it muted, because she's on here running and singing.
Oh.
Yeah, we're talking about you, baby. They can hear you. Well, I think I'm gonna hang it up, fellas. She's getting loud down here, so I'm gonna have to check everybody out, man. Hey, I want to definitely say thanks to everybody, though, man. I hit 1,000 subscribers this week, so yeah, thanks to everybody who's part of the movement. I appreciate y'all.
All right, congratulations. All right,
y'all take care.
All right, thanks for joining. All right, I know we went way off topic tonight, but I think it was still a good chat. Anyone else have any questions, or anyone else want to jump in? I think you're part of NSI or whatever, Biz. Come on, man. Nobody want to hear that? I've been trying to get a part of NSI for forever, and come on, Terrence, if you're listening, hook a brother up. Biz, I saw them demonstrated at Reefapalooza. I think I saw Terrence demonstrated. I also saw the what is it called now? I can't remember. The docent solution in person, and I liked it. Hey, what's up, man?
What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Bobby?
I got a question for you, homie.
Hey, what's up, man? Go ahead. I'll answer if I can.
I went to this frag swap, right? And I bought a couple of acros, and when I got them home, acclimated them, put it in my tank, they all went brown. All of those.
Uh-huh.
Now, all my other acros are nice, colored up. They look good. Excuse the blues. How long How long will it normally take for those acros to get their color back, or am I just SOL?
You know what, Biz, who's better, way better at SPS than I am, in the chat, he says that's typical as they acclimate to your tank. I am going to say that I've had SPS like before last Sunday when I had the mass death and I removed them, but I've had SPS that I've had in the tank, I think, for 3 months, and they were this brown color, but they still had skin and they were still growing. And
Right.
something happened after that 3 month mark that they just started getting their color back. And while they're growing slow, it's still some of the prettiest frags I have. So I think what he's saying is it could take a week, could take 6 months. Yeah, I have a bunch of brown SPS frags too. It also could be the light. I've taken frags from people. What do you have? LEDs?
Yeah, I got a Kessel 160.
Kessel. Yeah, if someone grows frags under like T5s and you're putting it under LEDs, it changes color. So there's no like answer we could give you, but as long as the frags are alive and you kind of acclimate them to your light, and everything else is spot on and your tank is stable, I think they'll be fine. But there's no answer that says, hey, after a week. It could be a week and it could be 6 months, but as long as they have flesh and they look like they're growing and you're seeing polyps, I think
just
I think you'll be all right. Yeah.
Okay.
Business is saying if they stay brown, then after a few weeks you move them to a different spot.
Okay.
But I think what you're doing now, where you have them on the sand bed and then you're going to slowly acclimate them and then slowly move them up, I think you got the right idea.
Right.
How much did you spend at that frag swap? What did you get?
Well, I got that one in the middle is supposed to be in the back is supposed to be a,
I'm terrible with the names too.
Strawberry shortcake, pink acro coming toward us. Pink acro. It was some kind of funky colored millie. It was like yellow and orange and blue, I believe. A rainbow something they called it, and a different type of shortcake. I forgot which one.
Hey, you're just like me. I'm terrible with the names. I just see blue SPS, red SPS, purple SPS with blue tips. Like, right. I have no idea what those means. It's just, to me, it's just like I just see the color.
Right, and that's exactly what I saw. I saw oranges and blues and purples and pinks, and I was like, "Yeah, let me get that one."
Hey, which state do you live in, and which frag swap was this?
This was. I live in Tampa. Wayne hosted one last weekend.
Ooh.
Wayne Scott.
I know who Wayne is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome dude. It was a great frag swap.
You know what? I'm heading down to Orlando for vacation. Like, I think where I'm staying, I'm gonna be right in between Universal and Disney.
Okay.
And I think I asked the guy, I think I checked the hotel to where I am from Worldwide Corals, and I think it's like going to be a really quick cab ride. So I already hit up Lou and said, hey man, I'm coming to the store. He's like, yeah, I'll give you a tour. So I'm excited to go. I'm excited.
When are you coming?
The 6th. The 6th of August. I'll be there for an entire week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I am definitely gonna, and I think he said I can buy what I'm buying in the store and they'll pack it up and ship it for me home when I get back. So I don't have to worry about carrying it on the plane. Shh, my wife is here. Let's keep that on the low. That's on the low.
I understand.
Yeah. You know how it is. You got a bunch of SPS there, man.
Yeah, man. It's acros, and I got a couple of candy cane. I got a pink Pastelapora back here that I'm hoping just grows over the whole side of this rock. And Creston Monte all down there above my Euphilia garden, and got my one Duncan some Recordia and Zoes. I dipped my Zoes earlier, so they're very unhappy right now. And
Why'd you dip them?
Hmm?
Why did you dip them?
Peroxide. It was like some hair algae was growing in between them, and so it was bugging my spirit. So I got it off.
The peroxide dip worked.
Yeah, it worked.
What size tank is that?
A 50 cube. It's the SC Aquarium 50 cube.
Dave said I was cooking some pallies. They take a bit of time. I don't know what that means. I was cooking. Oh, with the laser. Oh, Dave has a laser. Dave got a new laser, I think, to battle aptasia and pests. So,
oh, he's high tech.
Yeah, he's high tech.
I'm low tech.
Hey,
I'm super low tech.
Yeah, Dave's tank is looking good though. Dave, I put your last video that you made on Facebook. I put it side by side, and I'll send you the picture. But I put it side by side with when I was at your house last fall, and it's a big difference. Like I know sometimes when you're looking at your tank every day, you don't see the growth. But man, I was at Dave's place sometime last fall, and I took some pictures and video, and I put those side by side with a video he released I think last week on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome growth. He has 100-gallon that he built himself. So Dave is seeing some awesome growth.
Okay. Yeah, if I didn't take pictures of my tank weekly, it would be difficult to see the growth. But from the time I started till now, a lot of growth.
All right. I'm glad. I am glad. I'm glad. I am glad. This looks nice. I like cubes. For some reason, my wife doesn't like cubes at all. I absolutely love cubes. Is that a Tomini tank, like one of those little Tomini tanks you have there? The white tail one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that tank. I really do love that tank. And I see him pecking away at algae.
Oh,
he didn't touch that. Yeah, he didn't touch that hair algae that was in those pallies. He
wasn't. And that's what was like crazy to me. So I got tired of waiting on him.
You know what? I think they're good as a defensive measure. I don't think when you have an outbreak, you can use them to take care of the outbreak, but they do peck at when it first starts growing. But I don't think you can depend on tangs to sort of, eat your way out of an outbreak.
Right.
Algae? I just came in.
Yeah, an algae outbreak.
Yeah, they'll keep up with it, but yeah, once it gets past them. Plus, if you're feeding the tangs, they want to eat the food, not that nasty algae. If you keep them well fed, they're not going to do your yard work for you.
Right. But no, I typically maintain with the tang, and I have about 12, 13 blue leg hermit crab.
Yep.
I don't like snails. I've had too many nightmare situations with snails. So.
Oh really? Yeah.
I'm anti-snail.
I think you can do either. I think I always run into problems when you do both. Like right now, I love snails. Yeah. I have some gigantic ones that I take out, but I always run into issues like the hermit crabs kill the snails. So right now I just use snails, and I don't mess with hermits too much.
And hermits try and shell jack them.
Right.
You get a free meal and a new house.
Yeah.
Is that
you got to watch with anything that you're using to control your algae? I mean, you got to keep the nutrients in mind, because anything that eats it, you're not getting the nutrients. You're not exporting them out of your system.
Right.
It's
just a cycle. They create a cycle.
Good recycling.
Right.
Well, if the fish is growing, then it's being. You know what? Let me not even try. I was going to try and make an analogy, but I'm just shooting myself in the foot.
You ever see a big tang take a poop?
Oh boy!
Why do you think I gave Reef God that nasal tank, even though it was small? But when he started to poop, it was like a cloud string that It wasn't pretty. You wouldn't believe that that came from like a 3-inch fish.
Yeah. No, they're beautiful fish too. I've always wanted one, but I'm gonna wait and see if I upgrade in the fall. If I go to a 6-foot tank, I want a trigger and I want a nice Nassau.
Wait, upgrading again? Wow. Wait, Dave, wasn't it a few years ago when you were Dave's nano tanks, which you still are?
Yeah.
Before you changed
Dave's giant tank.
Wait, before you changed, went back and changed again. Before the original Dave's nano tanks. I think I remember you saying, "Oh, I'm good with this. I'm good with this. I'm good with a nano tank." And now you're talking about going with a 6-foot tank.
Well,
I'm impressed.
You know what it is? I did change the name, and nobody let me keep the name. Everybody kept calling me Dave's Nano Tank, so I went back to that name. But and who knew all that coral was going to grow so big?
That's the thing, man. You when I first started with a 20-gallon, I always wanted a saltwater, but it was one of those things that the people around me, and when you went to the fish store, and my fish store at the time was Petco, so don't. Yeah, just don't kill me.
Every Petco's different. Mine sucked.
When I went to Petco, they said, "Hey, like it's so much harder." So my thoughts is that, hey, you had to do freshwater first to sort of get to how to learn how to reef. So I bought a 20. So in 6 years, I've upgraded from a 10 to a 20 to a 37 to a 40 to a 50 to now a 70. I should have just got the 75. And every time I'm like, oh man, this new tank looks huge. And guess what? And when I bought the 75, my wife said, Jesus, this tank is so big. And guess what? Like a couple months later, she was like, you should have gotten the 120 because then we could have kept bigger fish. So it's like, I think next time I'm just going to go gigantic and not even worry about it.
You'll be able to buy ACS next time.
Yeah, I've been doing these small upgrades, and I don't think it works for me. Like I think at this point in my life, I'm gonna be reefing forever. So just get a giant tank.
Well, I moved from the 24 cube to the 55, and then to the 100 that I have now. And I don't know, it's just because I kept moving the same rocks along, and everything got that. You know, it was. We're not talking the nitrogen cycle. We're talking the tank actually starting to mature, or if just the extra volume of water was a good fit for me. But that's when I saw the most growth. Like at the end of the 55, moving into the 100, that's when I got a big bloom of growth and color, and it just started to work. So, you know, everybody talks about getting through the nitrogen cycle, but there's a lot more cycles that aren't mentioned enough.
You know, my problem is whenever I see, there's these new things that always catch my eye. Then when I was on Zeovit, and the tank was on Zeovit for a while, and it was stable because I settled into a routine. And I know why I changed from Zeovit, because I kind of thought it wasn't sustainable, but I just swapped from Zeovit to Triton overnight, and I think that it killed my tank. And for me, when it rains, it pours, because then I swapped from Triton to Zeovit. I swapped from Zeovit to Triton. Then my return pump failed, and then the tank died. And same thing happened. We met up on that frag swap, got some corals, put them in a tank. They were doing well, and then controller failed, and then dosers. Something always happens where. You know what? It's funny, Dave. You know, in the last couple of months, I've actually been rolling back the tech stuff on the tank, to be honest. Like you would never believe that you would hear that coming from me, right? Where
I know you love it. It's not necessary for everybody, but some people it is necessary because you love the technology as well. It's like my other hobby when I play guitar. I don't just play guitar. I build effects for it. I buy old amps and restore them. I have tube amplifiers. Sorry, Nick, that would be valve amplifiers for you. But, you know, that's unheard of. But that's, you know, that's the part of the hobby I enjoy is getting involved. So with you, it's having the fish and the coral and then tinkering with all the gadgets.
Yeah, but I think I need to tinker less. Or do, you know, like maybe not do so much tinkering at one time. Like if you're going to tinker with the lights, tinker with the lights and give it and watch for the result. Be a little bit more scientific or measured with the approach. Where, you know, I used to I think I went back through and looked at changes, and what will happen is literally last year, towards the end of the year, like between November and December, so within the space of 5 weeks, I went from 2 Radions to T5s to T5s with Kessel to a new sump, new skimmer, new doser, I basically went through like an entire tank transformation within, other than the rock and the sand, I think everything else on the tank changed during a 5 to 6 month period within first week of November to the end of December last year. And, you know, and I'm not trying to blame it on the Apex or anything. I think that, you know what the common denominator is? Me. It's me.
You know, when you first came into the community here and you were using the Zeovit, your tank looked amazing.
Oh, I
was, you know, jealous of it. Not jealous, but I really admired it. And it hasn't reached that since, in my opinion.
Hey, babe, you're listen, man. That hurts for you to say that, but you're being 100% honest. And I know my light died, so you guys can't see me, but I'm looking in the camera and saying, you're absolutely right.
No,
I screwed up. I was looking at that.
Don't mean to insult you. I'm just, you know, saying.
No. I don't take it as an insult. I'm just saying, like, I know, like, that's it.
But much as expensive, and it was a pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, I went on a trip. And came back, and something was off with the tank, and I'm like, you know, my wife was supposed to dose the stuff. I'm like, hey, babes, like, you know, did you dose the stuff? She was like, hey, I dosed all the blue bottle Zeo stuff. Oh. I think I had an epiphany. I was like, oh man. I went to the windowsill, like right behind me where I keep all the stuff, and I'm like, wait a second.
It's all blue.
Well, not only is it all blue, you had Zeo back, Zeo start, Zeo food. Like they were all Zeo something. So I'm like, oh shucks, like, you know what? Like this can't work.
So what is the idea behind Zeovit? You strip out everything out of the water and then just give it what it needs?
It's carbon. It's basically carbon dosing. It's like carbon dosing. And it's just like any other method. Like it took me a while to get on it. But once you get on it, and the thing about Zeovit is it's a system. And the fact of the matter is I don't want to say like if you're doing the Fritz method, and you're following the Fritz method, or you're doing the Aquaforest method. Right. The thing about it is, because you've had people doing Zeovit for years and years, if you follow the method, they have a website where people go and you'll say, like, hey, I'm doing Zeovit and I'm seeing this. But because you have people and hundreds and thousands of people have been doing it for years, you usually get solid advice. Like you can go and say, I have cyano. And they'll ask you some questions like, and they already have it in the forum where they'll say like, hey, post, when did you do this? When did you on it? How's your tank? What are you dosing? And people will give you specific answers and say, hey, when I first started Zeovit, I did that. And it's because I was doing this and try this. And the crazy thing was every time they offered advice, like it worked. And it wouldn't be like here where someone says, oh, my corals are brown. And you're saying like, hey, like, maybe coral's brown not being a good one, but maybe if someone said like, hey, I'm seeing this cyano, and you know, you'd be able to get, well, cyano can be caused by this, but with Zeovit, what I liked about it is you got specific advice that says, hey, use this particular Zeo product that was ridiculously expensive and use it this dose, and it should happen. And you would see the reaction almost exactly what they said. So I like Zeovit, but it was just, I think, too involved. And to be honest, I didn't even do like full Zeovit because I think there was another level of Zeovit I saw people doing where you can control the amount of zooxanthellae in the corals, where that's when you get that really ridiculous like pastel colored tanks. And I didn't even do that. Like I would think I was in the middle Zeovit. Like I wasn't even high level Zeovit. But yeah,
I don't want to work that hard.
Hey, Greg, how you doing?
Pretty good. And yourself?
Well, just reminiscing about when I had an awesome Zeovit tank.
Oh, now
No, Dave. No, listen, Dave. Listen, you're not. I've watched that video in the last couple of weeks. I stumbled on it again. And why do you think like I'm having this like epiphany now and say, hey, like don't change anything, like keep it simple. Like I think that's why.
Oh yeah, and you know what? You gave away your Zeovit reactor and all your stuff. I was.
My wife is listening.
Hey,
Yeah.
well, we'll put together a list if you're coming next weekend. I'll get you a bunch of frags going. So
Yeah, I think I just need to let it get stable.
whether you buy them or not, you'll go home with something.
Yeah, I think I'll just need to let it go stable and just breathe again and just stop messing with it. Like I think that's what I need. But at least you know what, Dave, I know I can get there because I've been there before. Bubba says I don't want to go Zeo broke, which is exactly what it is. Yeah.
Oh, and was it Bobby who has the corals that are browning out?
Yeah.
Yep. It's Bobby.
Yeah. Quick little story. Not this year at Palooza, but the year before, I got some corals from Rico, and one of them took about 7 months. It stayed brown the entire time. It's one of the most beautiful corals in my tank right now. It just took its time and woke up, had to wake up, get used to your nutrients and your alkalinity and your lights. And
Right.
so as long as they don't turn white and algae grows on them, you're okay.
All right. Because, man, I almost hate buying anything else.
Oh, I know. I know the feeling when you buy that expensive coral and you usually don't. You're like, oh, God, cross my fingers on this.
Right. And then you don't want to buy something and look just like something you already have. You just didn't see it because it was bright.
Yeah. Oh, I do that at the LFS. I used to come home with different Zoes every week and be like, oh, I had these. Because they got them damn Kessel lights, and I had the black boxes.
That's happened to everyone where you go somewhere and you see it's grown under a different color temperature or a different maybe T5s versus your LEDs. That's happened to me before, and then you get it. It didn't happen with the ACANs, but it's happened with corals I got from Billy, where listen, they still look great. Like I've gotten the corals I've gotten from Billy, they're great. And in a couple of instances, I like the different look. Like it's a different shade of green. Like I got Pocelopora and some other stuff from Billy at Reef Palooza, and it ended up when I got them home and put them in my tank, it's a slightly different shade of green. Like I think with the LEDs, it's turned into a lighter green versus with Billy, it was like a deeper green. Right. And I actually liked it. It almost looks like what a Simulera would look like that Simulera green. And I like it. I personally like that green. So is that TMG? How you doing, man?
What's crack-a-lackin'? You already know.
What's up, buddy?
What's going on, Dave?
Not much.
Yeah.
Let me ask Greg a question. Hey, Greg, do you go to MACNA?
I haven't been to a MACNA in almost a decade.
Ooh. So I guess this Vegas one is not going to happen.
What do you mean me go to Vegas?
Yeah. Are you going to Vegas?
I am considering it.
Oh. Aren't you West Coast, G?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not that big a trip for you.
No, but it's also Vegas is not that big of a deal for me either.
Right.
It's not like something I get to go to Vegas. So I don't look at it that way. But my bigger issue is, because of our shows, I travel so much.
Gotcha.
It's kind of, sometimes you just want to take some time off.
But they got some lineup of speakers. I mean, I'm looking forward to just the videos of the people speaking.
Yes. But I don't necessarily always listen to the speakers. I like the equipment, so.
Oh, sure, but you could come home and watch videos of the speakers.
But that's also the thing. That's also the thing, Dave, is you can't there are so many I think there are a bunch of overlapping. Dude, listen, I'm gonna go.
There's 30 speakers.
Yeah, that's what I heard on
I'm not going to see. Yeah, I'm not going to see. 3 days, 2.5 days. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to see that.
The show's not 30 hours long, I don't think.
Right. Doesn't be overlapping.
That's ridiculous. How much fish can they talk about?
Oh, there's a lot.
You'd be surprised.
You'd be surprised.
You know
what?
What am I saying? We used to do this forever.
I went to Reefapalooza and I went to Greg's talk. That's the only talk I went to. And you know what? Most of the other time, I ended up just talking to people. Just hanging out with Dave, hanging out with Billy, and just walking around and just talking to people. So, listen, I was talking so much, I actually forgot to film a lot of stuff. Like, I went there with my camera charged, extra batteries, everything, my Jimbo. And every time I started filming something, you
started talking to somebody.
I started talking to Terrence, and I'm like, I turned off the camera and just started talking to him. And then when we were finished, I said, man, that was a great conversation. Maybe I should have filmed that. And he said, yeah, you should have. And then he moved on. It's just, I just got, there was another one where I was talking to someone else, the guys at eCoral, and I think I was at their booth for like 45 minutes. And then I realized I pointed the phone to the floor. So while I have some of the audio, the camera was like filming behind me and the floor the entire time, and me getting excited and squealing while playing with their controller. That's what I got.
Yeah, when I go to a reef show, I just want to hang out and talk tank with a bunch of other people who have the same interests as me. That's what it's about for me. Most of the speakers, I mean, when they start talking about things outside the actual hobby, that's where it loses interest to me. I don't scuba dive or any of that stuff. Don't have any desire to. So the journey that the animal takes and so forth, that's not very much interest to me. I just want to learn how to keep it.
As a reefer, when you go diving, you just see dollar signs.
Exactly.
Very much.
Nah,
oh my God! You know what that's worth?
You know what though? I grew up in Jamaica, and while I saw a little bit of the reef when I was growing up as a kid, I just knew that was corals, and there were lagoons where you just could see corals. I didn't care, but now that I'm a hobbyist, when I went back to Jamaica and I traveled and I saw actual reefs, Dave is right. I knew what that was worth, but I also knew the value and what it,
Right.
It's not just about what it's worth. I know how hard it is for us to keep, and I know what kind of a fragile ecosystem it is. So I just learned to appreciate it more. I saw brain corals. I saw a lot of stuff. So I just learned to appreciate it more in nature. Like, I think now as a hobbyist, to be honest, I think I'm more into conservation, and I'll donate money to save the reefs and a lot of other things versus before I was a hobbyist. Because now I'm more aware. So I will listen to some of those talks. Not the scuba diving one, but the ones that have to do with conservation and stuff. I'll listen to a few of those.
Right. I will say this, even though I said what I said, we just had our club, we brought in Dr. Richard Pyle, and he gave the most epic talk I've ever heard. And it was about scuba diving and how these animals live and collection and all that. So I don't know. I guess it has its place. I just don't want to be overwhelmed with it. I'd rather just be talking with people.
I got you.
So, I got you. But our club does bring in a lot of speakers, so it's. I guess I'm a little spoiled from that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will be at MACNA. I finalized my trip, so I will be there. First time at MACNA. And it's interesting for me to be able to compare it to Reefapalooza. I don't know how different it's going to be, but
it's I look at it as a completely different animal. With Reefapalooza, we prioritize the exhibitors. With MACNA, it's about the speakers. It is a conference. That is what it is. So the show floor isn't as busy because you have hundreds and hundreds of people in the speaker rooms, and the speaker rooms are huge. They seat a lot of people because that's what people are paying the money for, is they're paying for those speakers. So I say if you go to a MACNA, you definitely take in all the education you can. At least, set yourself a schedule of what speakers you absolutely want to hear, and then enjoy the rest of the show otherwise, as time permits. The other thing is at a MACNA, you definitely want to stay in the host hotel. It's, everyone's together. And this year's MACNA is especially that way because everything is going on at the hotel. So on Friday night, when they do the reception, the reception party, that's at the hotel. When they do on Saturday, when they do the banquet, that's at the hotel. So it's one of those things. There's stuff going on from morning to evening every night. I mean, every day. So it's real important that you stay there.
All right.
He's not gonna stay.
No, I don't think so. But yeah.
The way you said "all right" is just like, yeah.
No. I heard that, but I think I heard that after I'd already booked.
You booked somewhere else?
Yeah.
Where'd you book?
I don't remember right now, but I think I checked, and I'm just a block or two away, I think.
Oh.
I don't remember. You said, oh, like.
Well, I know where that hotel is.
Yeah.
There's not much close to it.
It
really sits away from the strip.
It does. All right. I have to, you know what, Greg? I got your number. I'll shoot you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe if we need to change some stuff, we will. But I'll shoot you a text.
Okay. Sounds good.
What's your name on Instagram? Oh,
Reefing with O.
Okay.
Oh, well, that's the fish tank one. The other one where I post about
I have the other one. I see the barbecue.
Oh man.
Well, you're going to the barbecue?
No, he on his personal one. All he does is post pictures of his barbecue.
Hell yeah!
Where'd
I
you
need to see that one.
Escape?
Yeah, well, you watch his personal one. You see all. It's barbecue porn is what it is.
Where did he barbecue, on the fire escape?
I work in Memphis. My company is in Memphis, so I spend a week in Memphis every month. And the food in Memphis is awesome. And it's way cheaper than New York. So hence the good barbecue food.
Oh,
so good. And
there's barbecue. There's more barbecue than reefing, even on the reefing one. Just saying.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
If you look at any of my build threads in the forums, there's barbecue.
Hey, you gotta eat.
Yeah.
There's so much more food I didn't. I can't imagine how like Dave, like we go to a restaurant here and you have a good burger or a good steak. The first time I went to Memphis, and we're deviating from reefing, but the first time I went to Memphis and had like a good steak, I think I went to Corky's and had like some brisket and fries, and I had desserts and everything. And the lady brought me the bill. It was like $25, and I looked at her and said, "Hey, I don't want you to get fired, but did you forget to put some stuff on it?" She's like, "No, what are you talking about?" I said, "Yeah, like it's only like $27. Like, what do you?" She's like, "Yeah, it's your bill," and she started itemizing everything. I was like, "Oh man, you gotta be kidding me!"
I'm no authority on barbecue. I do like famous barbecue. It's a chain, I know. It's probably not authentic, but it's damn tasty.
It's authentic enough. It's pretty. It's done right. It's done right.
I get the sampler. They bring it out to you on like a garbage can lid, like an old metal garbage can lid is the plate.
I have so many more meals I haven't. It's just I don't know. There's something about the food in Memphis. It's just when I used to travel to Kansas City, it's the same thing. I don't know if it's just the food in the South is just nicer, but my gosh, I just find the food just amazing.
They've had hundreds of years to perfect it. That's all.
My gosh, you go to the average hole in the wall place that makes barbecue and it's good.
Every last one of them. They serve barbecue at gas stations and it's good.
Oh man, I'm telling you, like, yeah, you guys got me hungry now because now I'm thinking about it.
When in Rome, it depends where you are. I mean, in New York City, there are some food trucks that are great food to eat,
Yeah.
And tasty. I don't know about good for you, probably not.
We're not talking about health.
That's
well, if we're talking about barbecue, I guess not.
You know what? Before I started doing this, I said, "Hey, I'm just gonna be my cheat," and my coworkers make fun of it. They're like, "What do you have a cheat week every month?" Because that doesn't make sense. Because all right, I'm getting hungry, guys. So
sorry.
You go.
So
Well, Domino's.
So so Rip Van Winkle said, speaking of conservation, I'll have some news very soon.
All right, I think Rip is working on some conservation stuff, and he's saying once the project gets accepted, watch my channel. That's all I can say. All right, Rip. So you want to come in and give us a little bit of like what you can tell us, or anything, or should we just sub and just wait for me?
I'll step out, fellas. Y'all have a good night.
All right.
Hey, good night, Bobby. I think he doesn't want to jinx anything he's got going on, but yeah, come on in, and even if you just come in and say hey.
All right, I'm sub to Rip. I'll wait for yours. Definitely. So Dave, so I just confirmed. I will be next week. So I'll see you next week then. Definitely.
Okay. Yeah, we can do a quick little shout out for anybody who didn't watch my video or isn't subscribed. If you're in the area of Clifton, New Jersey, it's worth a trip. If you're not, a week from Saturday, August 4th, around 2 p.m., I wheeled and dealed a 20% discount for us YouTubers to go in there and shop, do whatever we want, and all get together. And so far, it looks like a good 10 people are going to show up, so that's always fun.
Nice.
And there's a restaurant around the corner. Really good food. We're going to meet there at noon. That's optional. And there's no discount at the restaurant, but the food is good.
Wait,
hey, how you guys doing?
What's up?
Hey, Rip.
Yeah, but the LFS, I said, can we do a YouTube thing? And he says, oh, sure. How's 20%? I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, that's going to be fun to meet up with you guys. But hey, Rip, so you can tell us a little bit about this project you're working on, as much as you can say.
Yeah, I can't really give details, but just to let you guys know what I'm doing, I wanted to have a reef restoration project. So I wanted to have a project where we'll actually build a facility. And
before you go any further, just because I think some people here don't, but tell them where you are.
I'm in the Philippines. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the Philippines.
So yeah, it's not easy because first of all, I'm a foreigner. But I've been working on this. You guys know I've been working on this for like the last almost the last year. So right now we're pretty close. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. But I'm pretty confident, so that's why I'm speaking before the fact. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to have like a real reef restoration project, like start a real actual reef restoration project, and so that's what we've been working on. Like, actually, Cruz is helping me. Me and Cruz are doing this. So yeah, so it's very close. It's going to be like a full on project, full on facility, modern facility, and the goal is to have a pilot project that's eventually going to be countrywide. So sorry, can't really. There's not much more than that until we actually get going and making videos. And I plan to. Oh yeah, the other side of this, I plan to put everything on social media. So everything's going to be visible to everybody along the way. It's going to be totally documented, and it's gonna be like an ongoing documentary. I wanted to make it kind of like an ongoing. The idea right now, it might change, but a kind of ongoing documentary on YouTube, either on my channel or we'll make a new channel. So that's the idea behind it. So you'll see underwater footage. You'll see the facility. The facility is comparable to fans, but actually, like, we don't need that much tech because it's warm here, and we plan to use the sun. Also have using the part of the day we'll be using the sun, but there's another part of it that I can't talk about at all, but I will hint that right now the problem with Indonesia is. There's a problem with Indonesia, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's created a vacuum, and that's about as far as I can go with that. But nature hates a vacuum. Let's just say that nature hates a vacuum.
I get any word on that?
Yeah, you will be, man. That's the crazy thing. Like, wow, that's all I can say. Like, when this comes out. And like,
okay,
it's going in front of government, the project's in front of government. I mean, once it gets there, if it got to that point, so let me not say too much because I don't know who's listening, and
No, I hear you.
You have to be careful because you don't want to get shut down, before you start. But
is this banned for a long run or?
Oh man, it's like it's a 25-year project.
Okay, you said government, so that always slows things down.
Yep.
The G word.
Oh no, it's not like that here. No.
No, I'm not talking about your project. I was just more concerned right now with the ban and anything you knew about the Indo ban.
The Indo ban is well, it's good for us. That's all I can tell you. Thank you. That's a big thank you.
Do you think it's going to be a long-term thing and hurt this hobby, in your opinion?
I think it's about to become a short-term thing.
Yeah, less than a month.
So,
hey, Billy.
We'll see.
Yo.
But I'm really excited about that. So I'm about to spend most of my days in the water, like on an actual project. So I'm very I can't tell you how happy I am with that.
That sounds cool.
So you guys will be able to see everything.
All right, well, I'm excited. I'm definitely subbed up, so I'll be following.
Yeah, I've been subbed.
Yeah, where you been?
Who's that? Is that Mr. Pipes?
How's it going, Billy?
What up?
Billy, are you coming to the meetup on next Saturday?
Hell yeah.
Hey, read the comments. We got about 10 people in. Bronx Reef.
We have something going on too. At the same time, there's this small convention called Aquacon at the same dates. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, if they still had the Concorde planes, I was going to try and do both, but I was going to be like Phil Collins at Band-Aid.
Oh, man.
I talked to the owner today, Dave, of Ocean Gallery.
Yeah.
So I think so far as of now, He's either gonna do 4 or 5 fish, like different fish. He just doesn't know which ones, for $3, or he's just gonna do. He actually found an ad in a magazine from 1988 with prices of fish that he had for sale.
Oh, nice.
So he said he might do that.
You do like roll it back, like what?
Yes, exactly. He's gonna call it the roll it back. I mean, he had like Achilles tangs for $18.
And when are we doing this?
Wait. Where? I wonder Achilles.
No, we're doing this in September. You said
September 1st.
Yeah, so we're going to do a double tour. He's got two stops for us on September 1st.
Yep. And
Wait,
TMG, one of the spots I think you would appreciate. Right now?
Yeah. You know how we're getting together, TMG?
Wait,
you know how we're getting together and going to different places? Well,
no, I don't do that.
Because you haven't come. But no, we've all been getting together and going to different places. We went to Ultimate Coral, then next week we're going to Absolute Fish. Next month we're all getting together and we're going to 2 LFSs down off of Route 22. And Billy's set up some nice, sweet deals for us.
Fritz at cost, Dave.
Oh, I need to. Well, I'm pretty set, to be honest. But
yeah.
Like what? Come on.
Hey, so TMG. So this, listen. I'm not really good with named corals, but Billy took me to this spot on the reef, and I'm telling you, like, this is the prettiest LFS. Like, I think, like, the tanks were immaculate, and I know sometimes we talk about these tanks at this store was immaculate. And I mean, the guy's sump was open, and there was no detritus, nothing settling in the like. They open during the week by appointment only, and they're open all day Saturday and Sunday. They're usually open on the weekends. During the week they do service, but you can make appointment only. So it's a really high-end fish store. Their tanks are amazing, and then a lot of the stuff they grow in a facility, they aquaculture. So the coloring is great. I love when stuff is aquacultured because you know it's going to do.
Not to interrupt. Was this person at Palooza?
Yes.
Oh yeah, he's dope. I got a call from him.
Oh, you've been? Well, I've been to his store.
I've never been to his store, but he told me about his grow. Like, he was just like, Indonesia don't phase him, and he grows stuff so fast he actually sells really nice corals at human being prices.
Yeah. That's the thing I was going to say. Like, the prices aren't like you expect when someone aquacultures and the stuff is
fast.
Yeah, you would expect like the prices to be crazy, but he actually had pretty good prices.
That's good. I need some color. I need some colorful acros.
Nah,
he's got them.
His thing. I could show you one of the pieces I got from him. Like, it's nice, man. It's nice. I'm about to name it like some crazy joint. It's just like, dude, I think coral should be free. I don't care what nobody says.
Oh, what?
I think coral should be free.
Oh man, so how are you gonna get them in America if they're free?
No, what I mean when they're in America, they should be free.
Oh, but
corals are free. Corals are free.
Wait, how do you get them to America if they're free? There's no tropics in America.
Like, somebody got to pay for it.
Okay. Oh.
I mean, they should be free for us.
Oh, but how are you gonna get it in America if it's free?
All right, here's what I mean. Oh, right? If you, let's say you decide to buy a colony from Indonesia, you get it, you chop it up, right? You give it away at Goodwill. I get a piece, I grow it out because I'm a beast, and I chop it up, give it away. Like, that's how I think it all should be, dude. I don't see the point of paying for any of this stuff.
But how do we get it? You realize that corals are free, right? But what you're paying for is someone's
supplement?
No, you're paying. Yeah, you're paying for someone.
Paying for alk and calcium.
You're paying for someone's time and energy and electric costs to grow the stuff and time because someone has to grow it. Like, corals are free. Like Rip said, corals are free. Like, It don't cost you anything to go and collect. Like they're absolutely free, but you have to pay for someone to fly it here overnight or so, which is ridiculously expensive, and also someone to spend the time to grow it because you're not going to be able to have someone you growing it part time is not going to be enough to supply everybody. Like you need someone that's a full-time job dedicated to growing it, and it costs space and it takes time and it takes electricity. If you're in New York or California, like your electric bill is nuts for growing, running banks of lights, growing coral. So
yeah, but I'm talking about like on a hobbyist level.
Oh, people!
But you guys could free trade.
Oh yeah,
yeah, but nobody do it. Like in the beginning when I started, like in the beginning when I had my nano like 6-7 years ago, I got it was pretty much free for me. Like, you know what I mean? And when I got out almost a year later, everybody's charging $10 for GSP. Like, how dare you sell GSP? How dare you sell a Hollywood?
Costs money to grow it.
No, it don't. Dude,
really?
GSP
free alkalinity. You got free 2-part coming out of somewhere.
So you're saying if I take a 10-gallon so you're saying if I take a 10-gallon tank and just put salt water in it and throw GSP in it, I don't have to touch it for months?
Try it. No, I'm being dead serious, dude. I got a red Monty cap growing under red lights in my sauna.
So you're saying GSP will grow in 66-degree water? Non-moving, no power heads.
Billy, try it.
I know it won't work. It's been tried.
No,
there's videos of it.
It'll survive, but we're talking about propagation, and there's certain costs to this. So
it'll actually Respy did it for 3 weeks, and it turned brown and died.
I ain't do it.
I don't know. Nobody's giving out free frag plugs or bags either, so everything costs money.
Man, I just don't see the point of like charging for freaking Hollywood Stunner, freaking Zania, or Kenya Tree, or
Billy actually wishes he had more GSP.
That free Jersey electricity because I'm paying 22 cents.
You're gonna be paying electricity regardless. You got fish.
Can I get some of that free because to buy have one 14 watt or 20 watt lights where I'm growing, it's a lot different versus someone growing. The last thing I'm gonna say about
listen. There's a lot of people with Fowler tanks and they got radions. Trust me.
What I'm gonna say is TMG is I think there's a reason why we have so many LFSs and they're selling so many corals because if we were only depending on, and I understand I kind of understand what you're saying. If we were only depending on hobbyists to like grow corals, I think that used to work back in the day because the hobby was so small. I think someone is feeding that. Yeah, and also I think AL in the chat says someone is feeding that. So I think AL is saying there's a difference between free and trading, which I think is correct. Like when I trade with Billy, I'm trading something that I invested time and money in for something that Billy, like it's up to us to kind of decide whether it's worth it. But there's a difference between free and trading. Like I'm trading something of value that I want for something of value that, Dave or Billy wants. So we're trading something that each other wants. What that value is or what it's worth, it changes from person to person. Like Billy's the ACAN guy, so I'll trade him ACANs. He can, whatever. It really depends. But free, I just think like, when the hobby was small and there was a few people and they were trading corals, but I think you're underestimating the amount of people that are in this hobby. The fact that us growing coral in our tanks is not enough to like supply. In a perfect world, but it's not a perfect world,
I agree. But you know what? When we all went down to Ultimate Coral, Reef Spy gave me a little goodie bag. I still got stuff out the gazoo from what he gave me, and he just gave it to me. And there were containers upon containers. And it was Digis, it was Bird's Nest, it was Monty Cap, but he just gave it to me. I gave him like 3 pieces of coral. He gave me like 20.
I gotta be honest. The amount of stuff he gave me
Like I actually left stuff in the bag for the next day because when I got home and I spent 2 hours dipping and doing everything, the next day I got up, I realized like, oh man, there's a whole nother bag that I didn't check. So he
almost pulled a fishy. It's a good thing it was summertime.
Oh my god! Reef Tank gave me so much stuff. I didn't realize how much stuff he gave me.
Yeah, and you ask him,
but
he just sweeps that up out of the bottom, you know.
Okay,
but look at that. Like if he gave Dave 20 things and he gave you probably 20 things, that's a lot of that's honestly more corals. Like honestly, than a lot of people buy in a year.
Yeah, no, that's fine for us.
No. But here's what I'm saying. If that's more corals than the average person buys in a year, right? And he hooked up 2 of you guys.
That is, they have buy 3 get 1 free at my LFS, so I usually walk out with 4, and I do that a few times a year, more than I'd like to admit.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I just think people buy it. I just think too much people charge for corals. Like if your game is not propagating, you know what I mean? Like people charging for shade. Like people charge for too much stuff.
I understand.
Online, like
there's a big difference.
Shado, or bring your own plastic bag.
It's the same thing as why does a BMW cost more than a Civic?
And also TMG, I think you realize that aquacultured corals cost. I see aquacultured corals cost more than aquacultured corals cost more than wild collected, and the colonies are smaller for aquaculture because you get a small frag versus wild colonies. You get bigger. That's what I've noticed. You get bigger colony cheaper.
Oh, you're talking about wild aquaculture colonies.
Aquacultured corals is what you grow in a tank. Maricultured is what.
Gotcha.
Right. That's what I was just about to say that.
Yeah. I got a quick mix up for a second. So aquacultured
is where you grow in a tank, and then mariculture is you grow it in the ocean, but you kind of put the frags there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but it's in the ocean.
But you got a better.
It should be the opposite, though.
Yeah. AWOC 3N, I can't pronounce it. I don't know what that means. But he says there are hobbyists that buy Chaeto, that have to buy Chaeto.
Awoken.
I was actually surprised at that because I take the stuff and I throw it away. And I think TMG, you sold some Chaeto on Amazon where, some of the stuff people wanted, and I
refunded every single person.
Get out of here! Don't you lie like that.
No, I swear to God, I had red bugs.
Oh, that's too bad.
That was a sign because I was like, that was going against my ninja way. Like, you know what I mean? That was not.
Yeah, but see, you sold it.
No, I refunded every single person though. I never shipped.
Yeah, but how dare you sell Chaeto?
Yeah, no, that was dude.
How dare you sell? See, you just contradicted yourself.
No, I didn't.
Chaeto out of my tank. I threw it.
You don't want anybody to charge for GSP, but you're charging for Chaeto.
Seaweed, bro. Seaweed.
How dare you?
And guess what? I would never charge a Chaeto. You know what I'm saying?
I drop some off at the LFS, and every once in a while he says, "Oh, just take that for free." So I don't even like it. Doesn't even. I either give it to the LFS or I throw it in the garden.
Garbage.
I can tell you this: if I have a booth next year at Palooza, I'm only selling 2 things: GSP and Chaeto.
Right?
No, Billy.
I was trying to say earlier.
You would make a killing.
That's what I did. That's what I did this past summer.
What you had? All you had was Pasillopores, right?
No.
Yeah, you did.
I sold 97 frags, man.
Of what?
I had Pasillopora, Bird's Nest, A-cans, 2 different types of candy canes. I had Zoas. I had Pallies. My GSP was gone before noon on Saturday.
Dude, you sold green Pallies?
No, not green.
No, Harvest Moons.
Pink golds, baby.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Harvest Moons are nice.
Yeah, how many you want?
Dude, I got a full rock. I got a full rock.
I got a full tank.
Yeah. No, dude, honestly, if they for nuisance pally, they're probably one of the prettiest nuisance pallies.
Yeah,
And people love, people. I would say half of the show every year is new people.
Yeah.
And new people love it because they're like, "Look, I'm growing something. It's not dying. It was 2 heads. Now it's 15. I'm a genius, you know."
Yeah.
But I had people bought my GSP, like it was priced the same as some of my Zoas and some of my bird's nests, and they're just like, "I want that, dude. It's huge." Like even Reef Spy, who gave me the GSP to begin with, some people are like, "Oh, why are you selling it?" But he was like, "Is that the stuff from my tank? It didn't look like that in my tank. This shit, it was awesome looking, perfect." But my coral is 100,000% pest free.
Yeah. But here's like a challenge I want everybody to like. I would love everybody to participate in.
Nope.
Huh?
I want you. I'll do whatever challenge you want, but you got to go watch Bohemian Rhapsody with me.
I'm looking for somebody to go watch that movie with him.
All right, I'll go. Because I think this challenge would be very beneficial.
All right. Shoot, what do we got?
Wait,
the challenge
coffee. I know we have challenge and movies.
No, it's not offbeat. The challenge should be that nobody, right, that participates in these chats live streams, basically everybody should be given away a decent amount of stuff. That should be the challenge.
We already do that.
No.
Don't you guys?
No,
don't you guys already do that? Like you all know each other.
No, that's
yeah.
Y'all hang out together.
We're relatively local. Do I ship? Al, actually, yeah, I do ship.
Do you know how much it is to ship a frag overnight to California?
Dude, I've sent Kevin a full box of like 12 SPS for free.
How did you ship them for free?
No, I mean I didn't charge him.
Yeah, no, but how much was shipping?
$60-something.
Yeah. That's the part.
I mean, no,
Yeah.
but he covered shipping, but he got 12 frags, 12 SPS, not like GSP or Pallies or like, you know what I mean?
Pallies you can send 3 days.
You know what I mean? Like
they'll be fine when they get there.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've had people comment and say, "Could you please send me coral?" And I'm like, "Who are you? I have no idea who you are." Yeah.
That's different. That's like you're on a bigger scale. Like, you know what I mean? Like you actually like have a business behind you. But I'm talking about like regular people, like just people who participate in the chat. Like I'm looking here, like we got Smoky Reefer, like Bubba, Straight Reefer, Awoken. Like, you know what I mean? If you know somebody in the hobby, just hook them up. Like, you know what I mean? If you know somebody that wants to try SPS, you know what I mean? Hook them up with some SPS so they don't like go out and spend a bunch of money and like.
All right, can you send me some SPS because I don't have any acros.
Yeah, you do. You have like 2.
I don't have any.
You have an Acropora Millipora.
I have one. I have 1 milli.
Right,
I have 1 milli, and then two stylos.
But he
Got you. See, if at the rate I keep this up at, people are gonna say that I can't grow stuff because I'm always cutting stuff, man.
Well, I want what's your best acro you got?
Ah, dang. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
to me, I love the PC Rainbow. I don't know.
I'll take a piece of that. I'll take a piece of that.
I'll cut it right. If I didn't have paint on my hands, I would cut it right now.
You coming next Saturday?
To Absolutely Fish Saturday?
Yep.
Nah, I'm probably working, bro.
A week from Saturday on the 4th.
Oh, okay. I could probably do it.
Oh, there's like a video on my channel that explains the whole thing that I, here and got us.
I'm actually going to copy the way you did it because I really like the way you drove up and showed how to find it.
Oh yeah,
I'm actually gonna steal that.
That's all right. You can.
Because both of mine are the same way. It's like if you miss the exit, you got to go a mile down the street, do a U-turn.
I know that's true because I missed an exit.
Wait till you see this place. You're gonna be like, I appreciate every system he has. It's 2 tanks per system, and the sump and filtration, everything. is right underneath the tanks, and you can see everything. There's nothing closed. It's all everything in that whole store is. I mean, his floors are good enough to eat off of.
That's cool. There's no magic behind the curtain.
No. And it's been there a year, and he's a maintenance guy full time.
Right. Okay. Anybody coming to Absolute Fish? That Hearth restaurant that was just past it is now called Maplewood Diner. So don't look for the Hearth.
Is that the place we went to last time we were there? Me, you, Jeff, and Fishy went to?
Oh, the place I want to go for lunch is the Barrow House, and that's still the same place. Yeah.
Oh.
Is it expensive there?
It's $20. You get a burger and a beer. You know, it's not cheap, but it's all microbrewery stuff. You know, you can't walk in there. They don't have Budweiser.
Do they have Mountain Dew? Because I don't drink.
I don't know if they got Mountain Dew, but they got the soda fountain, whatever.
Yeah, all right, that'll work. Coke or Pepsi will be fine.
We'll put some Sprite in there with a few extra scoops of sugar. That'll be Mountain Dew.
We're gonna try and find somebody to watch Billy. I'm gonna bring Olivia with me.
They don't have cheese balls, Billy.
I know. We'll have to do without.
Yeah. Or you could carry your own pack. Bring your own. Bring your own.
Did you see that stool I got? Oh, that thing is nice, dude.
Bring your own BYOCB. Bring your own cheese balls.
Dude, I was gonna get you like a helmet for your head.
Right? And right as I was doing that video, I smacked my head on the pipe.
I know.
Yo, what's it called? Just a heads up, right? Just a heads up. About
that is a heads up.
In like 2 weeks, we're gonna have what's it called? Your boy should be dropping a digital nitrate reader. Like 2 weeks.
Who's that?
Who's your boy?
Me.
Huh?
But you invented a digital nitrate reader?
Not invented, just putting a concept I have on how to make it work.
Wait, did you build Kessels?
Did I build Kessel? Yo, you stay trying to play me. Yo, Billy, for you, Billy, for you, you're gonna be the first beta tester that I gotta pay.
I see that, Bubba.
Wait. So TMG, why can I be a beta tester? Digital nitrate reader.
No, he doesn't like you. Oh,
all right.
You could be a master beta tester.
Yo, the beta is gonna be ugly though. It's gonna be super bulky, super ugly.
It's gonna be a duct tape to a bowling ball.
Nah, it's gonna be your own personal human that just tests for you. No, it's gonna be similar. Like the whole concept is gonna be.
You got to think, why haven't they just done that yet? Why haven't they done a dip where you just like a thermometer?
It's not gonna be a dip. It's gonna be like honestly like very very similar to.
Can I get a model version of this tester?
No, it's gonna be very similar to like to the Hannah.
Oh, I thought you were mean like you just hold it in the tank for a couple seconds, pull it out, and nitrates.
No. I don't understand electronics that much. For me, it's gonna be like chemical. Like it's gonna be the chemical way. I don't understand like I'm like the learning curve of just understanding like a few electronics that has to go into this thing is just like what, like like then I'm gonna pay somebody to do the coding, and a bunch of stuff. So to translate, do the coding. So
Hey, here's something for you since you're good at testing and stuff, TMG. I have dry 2-part that I want to mix, and I want to target a certain type of liquid 2-part I'm using. What's the easiest way to test that my concentrations are the same, like on alkalinity, or can I use a refractometer or a certain dilution? I don't want to go like Hannah shit out of it and need more Hannah liquid.
No. I'm trying to understand.
Okay. I used Fritz liquid 2-part.
Yeah.
All right. Now they gave me a dry bulk that's the exact same chemicals that are in their liquid 2-part, but they don't have any instruction as to how to target the same strength as the 2-part that I'm using.
You're gonna have to dose your tank and just test daily until you figure out what it is.
Oh, I don't want to do that. So
yeah, you're gonna have to.
I want to test them against each other, and
so
100 milliliter in a beaker and put 5 drops in each and see when they test this thing.
Now, what you do is put it do like 1 mil of this solution in like a gallon of water.
Okay.
Test the alkalinity, and then what's called mix up the 2-part, and whatever the instruction says, test the alkalinity, and then kind of tweak it from there. But more than likely, you could just fully saturate it, and they'll probably be the exact same.
Oh, I would like to eventually fully saturate it because I know I can make it stronger than the liquid even comes. And, then I could turn my doser down, but that's a whole math problem,
Yeah.
Hey, guys,
No, yeah.
There's an easier way.
That's almost the easy way.
Let's hear it.
Have you thought about calling them?
Oh, yeah. I called Jess. I called Sean. This is all Fritz products.
Okay, and Sean didn't tell you how?
Sean didn't tell me exactly how to target their liquid, how to get it exact. He told me I could make it stronger, I could make it lighter. He gave me an amount to mix to make a good 2-part, but he didn't say it would, be equally as strong.
Now, does it say the what is it? The potency of the powder?
No, but what it does is says you mix this much powder into some RO water to raise your tank from this to this per gallon. Okay, it doesn't tell me, what liquid 2-part, strength is, or so. I know there's going to be some testing.
Okay, so an easy way. I mean, you can probably contact someone like Randy Holmes Farley,
right,
and give him, because he knows the math. He knows the math behind it and how to.
Right.
If you tell him, what the liquid says and how much you have to dose to get, to raise your alkalinity here, he can figure out how much of that powder based on their recipe.
Right.
He can do the math.
Yeah, just make a post. He's mad fast too. He'll probably respond to you at like 2 a.m.
Right.
I'm shocked that Sean couldn't tell you. I mean, they have full blown chemists at Fritz. I mean, they're no joke when it comes to that. Somebody there knows the information.
Right. But it's really interesting. I mean, the magnesium is 2 separate powders. The alkalinity is 2 separate powders. So I have 5 containers to make 2-part with magnesium.
Yeah.
And
wait, the alkalinity is 2 separate powders?
Yeah.
It's probably one part's probably calcium carbonate and the other one's probably sodium carbonate and one's sodium bicarbonate.
Right. Yeah.
Now the alkalinity, I thought I'd be able to play with a refractometer and even see, it got to be about the same salinity when you get them right. But I haven't ever dropped 2-part on my refractometer.
No, I don't think it's enough to actually even ship a salinity that much.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like I said, originally I would like to oversaturate it because I just use the little Voss bottles and, they empty out quick. That's like a weekly 800.
You're always going to be limited, by your alkalinity. You can mix calcium to be a whole lot stronger than you can alkalinity at its saturation point.
Right, and I don't want to waste it. I know you can put as much kalkwasser as you want in the bucket, but how much do you want in the bottom?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, just mix it to the full saturation. Wait, was it cheaper? Was it cheaper to get the powder form, or did you just get it for free?
Oh, it's always cheaper. I mean, when you buy supplements, you're buying water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're paying to ship water.
Yeah, which is expensive.
Yeah.
Well, that's what she said. I told her I was talking to Jess about the 2-part, and I said I love it, but it gets expensive when you got to order 2 gallons a month in the shipping.
Yeah.
Because I got the dry stuff. I could ship it right out to you. So that was great. But in the meantime, I had tried the BRS 2-part, and I just mixed it up per instructions and put it on the doser, and my alkalinity just fell in a week. It was so weak compared to it.
Well, that's based on the recipe.
Yeah, their recipe. I bought a gallon pack, so mixed into a gallon.
Even at full concentration, it's I forgot what it and probably that's why Fritz uses bicarbonate and carbonate, but I forgot which one of them it is. the soda ash.
Soda ash is carbonate.
Carbonate, yes. So you can only get so much carbonate into water, like you were saying. But you have things like Red Sea 2-part. You can't physically get as much alkalinity in a liquid as they can. Same thing with Bionic. They're like super saturated, like not super saturated, but you need like a little chemistry background to get it as saturated as they do. You know, it's not just.
I kind of disagree with that, but I mean, there's a point. I mean, you know, you can look at a company like Triton, which is far more saturated, but that's because they're using a different chemical.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's definitely ways of doing it, but if you're using bicarbonate or carbonate, I mean, you're just limited by the saturation point of that particular chemical.
So is it because Triton is using something that's more pure?
Say that again.
Is it because Triton is using something that's considered like more pure and less?
No.
I don't know what the word is. Oh, okay.
No, it has nothing to do with purity.
No, they're using lye.
I have no idea what that means, but
said they're using a lye.
Oh, lye.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
So basically, it's got a higher saturation point. You know, because I kind of, you know, I've talked with a lot of different companies that, you know, make 2-part and so forth, and they're all limited by the potency that, you know, the maximum saturation point.
Yeah.
And how all of a sudden Triton comes out and you're literally having to dose just a fraction of what you would have to dose if you were using something else.
I think Triton is like 3 times stronger than ESV.
Yeah. Well, but that's not possible using sodium carbonate or bicarbonate.
And that's what I was saying. But same thing is ESV is stronger than standard 2-part, because where I got that whole thing was I read one of Randy's thing is just like 2-part, like in and of itself, like regular 2-part, like the DIY stuff. You can't mix it to the strength of ESV or Red Sea.
But they were all that was they were using a higher concentration of sodium carbonate.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Because I know, you know, I'm real close. Actually, the reason I was late chiming in, I was on the phone with John Warner of Warner Marine. So I've learned a lot about chemistry through him. And if you ever went on that chemistry calculator, you would see that the Warner Marine product was probably the most potent of all. But it was simply because it was pretty much all sodium carbonate and not hardly any bicarbonate.
So when Triton came out, how is Triton able to get theirs much more concentrated? They just went in a different, like when you mentioned lye, they just used a different chemical?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant they weren't telling the truth.
No, lye, L-Y-E.
That's okay. Yeah, you confused me. Now that all.
I'm sorry.
I'm playing, Jake. Don't worry.
Bunch of liars.
Which has a very corrosive property to it.
Right. That eats up.
Eats through paper.
Oh, wait. Are you talking about
lye? Is known by many. Never mind.
Oh my. You just solved the mystery that was happening.
Wasn't no mystery.
Huh?
Wasn't no mystery. They knew what it was.
But then why everyone was lying to everyone else?
Because this is a copycat industry. It's a copycat industry. And if someone else can make the same product cheaper, they will.
Oh, man, but why lie? You know what they've done, though?
Why lie about lie?
Oh.
They were lying about the lie that was lying in the bottom of the box.
There's so many puns and memes. We got to get Pilfrey on that to make a meme out of it. But you know what they've done.
So, what chemical was it?
You know they've solved it. They're now shipping
lime,
in a powder form, and you mix it up yourself.
Yes.
And put it in your own containers.
Yes, and so they're not going to have those issues anymore.
No, you know what issues they will have, right?
But now we have to mix it up, and it's weird. It's some weird.
It's not idiot proof, that's for sure.
Yes, because it has to be. I saw the instructions, and it's not exact. You know, like BRS 2-part. It's like you take, like it's not so precise. You have a gallon of water, you fill the thing 2/3 up, then you mix it in, and then you top it off. And others are you take 1,000 mils. This is you have to take like 700 mils, and when you start to get into those numbers, that's when you start to get errors. And one thing I like about Triton is it's precise. It's precise.
Yeah.
This and this, and it should always be 1 mil. So as long as you can trust that your doser is calibrated, you can be sure that you're dosing 1 mil of each. And when you're ready to go up, you go up 2 mils of each. Like I feel like we're gonna get a little bit into BRSs, not exactly BRSs, but if we mismeasure, then it's not going to be as precise. I don't know if it'll cause problems, but
correct. But as long as they tell you to put too much in, they'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because the amount of their calcium solution is most likely geared towards the saturation point of the alkalinity. So that's the driving factor. So if you make the alkalinity 3 times stronger, you just or use a product that makes it 3 times stronger. If that's the saturation point, is that it's 3 times stronger, you just mix the calcium 3 times stronger, because you can probably mix the calcium 5, 6, 7 times stronger if you wanted to.
Right.
But you just do that. I don't know if you're familiar with ESV. Sometimes there's in the alkalinity portion, there's still some in the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And that is to ensure that you're always at the saturation point. They just throw a little extra in.
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt anything.
Oh.
Yeah, it's oversaturated.
Right.
I always thought like that was precipitate.
No, it is precipitate.
Precipitate.
It can't dissolve into it. It's at its max solution.
Yeah.
Well, this started out as a completely different stream, but I think on the back end, I'm actually learning a lot about these processes.
Yeah. Now, quick question, Gary.
Uh-huh.
Do you know the chemical that they're trying is using for alkalinity?
I believe it was sodium hydroxide. I believe that's what I was told.
Now, when you're using these real heavy concentrated chemicals, I wouldn't go pouring it in your tank by hand. I would definitely have it dripping into a sump. You don't want to pour that on your gym tank's head.
That's for sure.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So I you know what? I'm at a loss of words because, man, I don't know. Now I feel like I really don't trust Triton at all, or maybe I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with it.
No. It's just that I always felt like someone was blaming each other, and if they knew what was happening, then why go this route?
They were lying about the lie.
No. It's you have to realize this. Everything here in the U.S. is a 4-week delay. So the shipment gets here, they find out there's a problem. However long it takes to solve that problem, add an extra 4 weeks on it for the next shipment to get here.
Okay. So
and also, let's not forget, it's a chemical. So chemicals are going to be slower going through customs than a light or a pump.
But not through cardboard.
But it goes through cardboard pretty easy, yeah.
I got another thing for you, like not related to that, but also people haven't been able to get a steady supply of Triton now for more than a year. I know when BRS moved the tank to Triton, like it became a big thing, but I think a year later should be able to keep up with demand, because whenever Triton becomes available on bulk resupply, like it sells out within a day or two.
That's correct. There is a problem when a small company gets hooked on with a company such as Marine Depot or a company as BRS, being able to supply them, being able to feed that beast is like nothing they've ever experienced. When you get to that level, it's hard to supply those kind of companies, especially if you're a small growing company, you know, on your own. And the U.S. market, the reason why all these European companies come here is because it's much larger than the European market.
Much larger.
Much larger.
Yeah.
It's hitting when you can sell to the U.S., it's like hitting a home run. You know, I talked with a friend of mine who used to distribute Royal Exclusive in its infancy in the U.S. market. You know, and he said he placed his first order, you know, 40 skimmers. And it took Royal Exclusive 4 months to make 40. It was 40, maybe it was 70. It was a whole container. It was a whole container full of skimmers. And he sold them literally in 1 week. And it took him 4 months to make it. And he was like, dude, yeah, we got to figure out something because you're not making them fast enough. I can sell them so much faster than you can make them. So all of these small companies, they start off with this idea of doing this, but they don't understand how when they hit the American market, how much, if it takes off, it's going to change their life.
All right.
I mean, Triton hasn't been around very long, and I think they probably spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $30,000-$40,000 on their booth at MACNA.
Hey, you missed
with the sponsorship.
You missed Paul's comment. He was saying hello to you. He's insulted now.
Oh, hello, Paul. Hello, Paul. How are you?
He went to bed. He's mad at you now.
All right. You know what, Greg? I think your explanation, right? I'm not saying that's what corporate had to say, but something to that effect would have been. I almost felt like they had a put your head in the sand type thing where they can it's coming. It's not the problem. We can't get it from the UK, or they can't sell it to us. And I felt like there was a lot of finger pointing, and then the stuff leakage, and they were like, "It's the American." And we're talking like the guy I just said hi to. He has it in the UK, and he's not experiencing any leakage.
Right.
And he has taps. He can go to some. I think now there's some stores where you can go. Literally, there's a tap where you can refill Triton. You know, you know, we're seeing that.
But see, that takes an investment on the company to get it to that level.
Right.
You see, here's the thing. Outside of Tunzi, these European companies don't want to make that investment in the U.S. I don't understand it. You know, when you look at Roger at Tunzi, he's partners with Tunzi. When you look at companies like, you know, that are distributing anybody else's product, they have to front the cash to get the product. That company is like, and then if the company changes the product, hey, you're stuck with the old inventory. They're not doing anything to help you there. They're not giving you any credit or anything like that. It's a different mindset with distributors here than the ones there in Europe.
Wait, huh? Wait.
So
if I
for
buy
instance,
a Tunzi skimmer, and then they buy a new skimmer, they don't give me at least credit for the new ones, so I can sell the old ones out at a discount and stock the new ones?
Well, Tunzi does.
No, okay.
Tunzi's forward thinking. But like for Royal Exclusive, for instance, okay? Now, they have recently become forward thinking. They have their own facility. At least that's what I'm being told, is that their own facility is here in the U.S., and that's actually Royal Exclusive, not a subsidiary. But like a lot of these other companies, like for instance, you remember ATB skimmers? I mean, they're still around, but you know, it's out of somebody's garage basically. He buys the skimmers from Europe, and he sells them until he sells out, and then he buys some more. So there's never a large supply of them anywhere because they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. They're stunting their own growth. If these European companies want to really make it with a splash, they're going to have to fully invest in America, but they don't want to. They want it to be somebody else's problem. That's a European thing. I don't understand why they're like that, but they are. Deltec. I mean, you know, Deltec, up until Marine Depot just picked them back up, you know, they were being sold by Battle Corals. It was the only place you could get a Deltec skimmer.
You know what? That one kind of, because when I was new in the hobby and I was researching, I heard good things about Deltec. And to be honest, until Marine Depot released the video, I think it was last summer, I saw it. And I remember because I always held Deltec skimmers in high regard. And I was going on a train somewhere and I saw Marine Depot say, hey, we're now the distributor and you could come to us for service. I didn't know where you could go get Deltec skimmers, or I thought the business was closed, to be honest.
Exactly. They were still in Europe, but it was, you know, this is the thing. They've invested, they finally invested in someone, Marine Depot, to handle service and everything. Because Marine Depot is not going to carry anything you can't get parts for. Same with Bulk Reef Supply. That's just the way those companies are. You know, when you buy a Aquamax skimmer, you can also buy replacement pumps, all the little pieces, and so forth. That's the way it should be. With Deltec, you should be able to get these parts from somewhere. You shouldn't have to only be reliant on someone in another country that doesn't speak English.
You make excellent points, Greg. Excellent points. I never thought of it like that. I always want, like, just talking to some of the guys here who live in the UK, like, I'm just, sometimes it just shocks me just the way that it is, and just the way they tell me how the LFS business works there. And I'm always kind of a little bit skeptical because here it's so, you have an idea, you can make money, like people are willing to invest and try because there's money to be made. Where things was just, I always ask them, like, why is it like that? Like, that doesn't sound like you want to make money.
It seems like it, but they're still, their businesses are still thriving. So I don't understand. There's somewhere that the middleman, somebody isn't getting paid, and that's how they're able to do what they do. I mean, you can't, here in the US, it's hard to find colonies for sale. In Europe, in Eastern Europe, Western Europe, they can still buy colonies of coral.
That's what they buy. They're frags.
That's all they buy. They don't buy frags. Yeah.
They buy mini colonies.
They laugh at our frags.
Yeah. When you look at these crazy, beautiful tanks from Poland, that's my favorite country to look at their beautiful tanks. And you look, if you really look close, you'll see there is zero encrustation. You can see that the frag plug is just epoxied onto the rock. They're very good aquascapers, not really reef keepers. That's reality. But how do they just all of a sudden just buy these colonies? Because we can't get them. They come into the U.S., they get hacked up into a million pieces. And we got to buy frags.
I'll send you some.
We pay good money. We pay good money for frags. I do notice that a lot of times.
We do.
Back to where
Jake Adams on Jake Adams' channel. He just visited a guy in Singapore somewhere. Or one of the, and listen, I'm not the world's best reef keeper by a long shot, but I'm saying it was, I will say, hey, this tank has been up for 8 months.
Yeah,
and it's amazing colonies. Like when I had my tank at its best. Like what this guy said he accomplished in 9 months, I accomplished half of that from a frag in a year.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it, and just talking to some of the UK guys, like Aaron's Aquariums, like they buy mini colonies.
Yep.
They always buy. They're able to go and get like a nice mini colony of strawberry shortcake for sale.
Yep. Yeah, that's the way it is in the rest of the world.
But wasn't the frag always considered a mini colony till it went commercial?
EMG, what you consider a mini colony, like, believe me, these I know you like mini colonies. We've spoken about it before.
Yeah,
but
no. But I'm saying originally, what we consider a mini colony now, that was considered a frag.
Yeah. Oh, even what we buy
back in the day, when you would get frags, you would get like 3 branches and so forth. Back in the day,
exactly.
Yeah, we're not in those days anymore, and nobody's giving stuff away for free.
Which
that just
doesn't
doesn't happen.
Direction, not just one little stick.
Yeah, but
I don't endorse anyone giving anything away for free. You can help a friend out, yeah, but I look at it as the haves and the have-nots. The only people complaining about stuff being overpriced are the have-nots. A coral is worth exactly what someone will pay for it.
That's what I always say. Listen, like, I don't drive, but I know that there's people like Cruz. Someone mentioned Cruz. Like Cruz, here's the analogy. He drives to and from work 2 hours every day. He lives in Chicago. So he wants a night. He wants, if he's going to spend 3 to 4 hours every day in a car, it has to be a nice car because he needs that comfort. For me, like, I spend most of my day on the computer, so someone can say, "Hey, that you don't need a Mac. You don't need to spend $2,000 on a computer." But there's little things about it that I appreciate. Well, yeah, you can get the job done with a cheaper computer, but it's all about what you're willing to pay. Like, someone's willing to pay, and that's why I got sold at that price. If it wasn't being sold at that price, that's when you use discounts like that markdown.
Yep.
Someone's buying it. Doesn't matter what it is.
That's right.
I need some colonies, though.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. We have another guy here called Rookie Reefer, and he's in Australia. And he's, side business is buying colonies and hacking them up and selling frags, because he's realized that there is a small market for people who want frags, who don't want to pay the money for mini colonies. So that's his little business, buying these mini colonies or getting them and then chopping them up for frags. And I think he does.
That's how it started here.
Yep.
And all it takes is for one guy to really make some decent money doing that, and then everybody wants to be a frag star millionaire, and then they won't be able to find colonies.
Yep. Guys, he's here. He's called Rookie Reefer, and yeah, he frags up corals all the time. He gets these nice acans in Australia. He cuts them up and sells them.
Dinner plate, size of a dinner plate. He gets acans.
Yeah, chops them up.
See, I would never. Used to come in. That's the way they used to come in here when Australia first opened up. My buddy Richard was getting, huge colonies. Yes, dinner plate colonies, and was literally like cutting them into like three pieces, and that was fragging back then. You can't do that anymore. That's just not going to happen. They don't even come in the wholesaler that large anymore.
Right.
They're cut in Australia before they even get here to the U.S.
Yep.
What was that company at Palooza this year? They were a non-profit. They had acan colonies that were like 12 inches by 8 inches.
Yeah, somebody was talking about them before, and I saw, before we had the show, on this show, we were talking about them. I don't know who they were. I thought it was Billy that was talking about, or somebody was talking about it was DC was talking about them, because he was saying that they're like a school or something, and they grow these. They go to all these different shows, and that's how they fund.
Yes, it was me.
No, that's Williamsport. These are different guys.
Different guys. Okay.
Yeah, they had huge, ultra rainbow acan colonies.
Wow.
For $900.
Yeah, for
I saw them at Palooza, right, Billy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
They were the same aisle as me, but just down further.
Yeah, I saw them. Yeah.
And Williams
I saw them.
had great colonies of Majanos.
Oh man.
$900. Can you imagine how much that colony cost when it got here to the U.S. before they got their hands on it?
$30.
400.
Maybe 100.
Mm-hmm. Maybe
100.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy what has happened. A lot of it has to do with the cost of freight. You know, when fuel prices went up and freight prices went up drastically, that changed a lot with the industry, because you're talking corals that, you know, they may have been $18, you know, in Indonesia, but by the time it got here, it started off that it was maybe $30 when it got here. So it was like the freight was the same price. But now the freight is double, triple, or whatever of what the colony cost. So, I mean, mind you, I mean, what they're paying for the colony. And as that has gone up, that has what has skyrocketed the prices. Not to mention the common belief in the industry is that everything is marked up from the wholesale level by a percentage. So it's not about, oh, you know, let me make $100 off that colony. It's no, I need to make a percentage of what it cost me. That's what's happened.
And usually with this hobby, it's a 600% markup.
What?
Yeah.
You guys are giving me heart attacks.
Am I right or am I wrong?
You are absolutely right.
Wait.
By the time it gets to the end user, absolutely.
Did someone just make that up, like 600%?
No, that's like average.
Retail, like 50% markup usually. Like I know standard retail is about 50%.
Well, standard retail, you mean for aquarium stuff?
No.
Oh,
not aquarium stuff. No, like clothes.
Right. Well, you also have to remember these are live animals. There is loss.
Wait, let's back up. Like, what's standard market for equipment stuff?
You mean from manufacturer to end user?
Yeah.
Probably more than 100%. Probably about 100%. I'd say about 100.
You got to think of the difference too. You've got, say, a coral guy like
maybe even more actually, because the cost to make it. But you know, there's shipping and all that other stuff involved. You always got to remember UPS has got to make money too.
Marketing is probably the biggest cost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They've got to pay to market them.
It should be the biggest cost. For a lot of these companies, it's not. A lot, especially European companies, they don't like to market.
Huh? They don't like to market.
No.
And it's those smart computer guys that charge a fortune that ruin it for all of us. Oh.
Huh? What? No.
O's just mad now because he realized he bought an acro for $100 and it really only cost $4.
I mean, let's look at, for instance, your favorite product, the Apex. It's probably everybody.
Well, if you really want to think about
how much does it really cost to make it?
To be honest, the last time I had an issue with the Apex, I logged into it and I realized that the Apex is really like to be honest, like a Raspberry Pi. Like I know they've hardened it and they've done some stuff. Of an Apex. And I'm not trying to discredit Neptune Systems because I work in I know, but the guts of it, it's like probably like a Raspberry Pi type, you know.
No, it's less.
R&D.
Maybe more powerful than that.
You're paying for the software.
Yeah, the software.
You're paying for the software. So you're paying for their expertise in the years that they have been producing it, and that's all invaluable. You almost can't put a number on it, but when I say it's 100%, maybe 150% markup, you still are getting something out of it. You know what I mean? It's not, but live goods, markup is insane.
Yeah.
When you talk about these collectors, and no, the collectors don't pull it out of the ocean for free. They get paid to pull it out of the ocean. Trust me, if they didn't get paid, they wouldn't go in the ocean and pull it out of the ocean. They're not doing it for the fun of it.
The dog that I got for my daughter for Christmas 4 years ago, the lady at my work breeds these special breeds dogs, and she sells them for $3,800 a dog. But since I know her, she charged me $50.
Right.
That's
The
the
price
same.
of the shots.
That's it. No, it didn't even have the shots yet.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, no, yeah, it did. It did. I lied. Yep.
Yeah.
It was like the whatever 6-week thing or whatever. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. But it's really worth what someone will pay for it. And there's people out there spending $3,800 on it.
Oh yeah.
It's just worth it to them. You know, I have no problem with that. I don't argue about, because there are some areas of my life where I'm willing to not pay for expensive stuff because I don't see the value in it. So I will never knock someone for buying something expensive. That's their choice. It's their money. Like, I like technology and equipment, so I tend to, you know, like, I'll deal with it and I'll spend on it, you know?
Right.
It's not necessary. Like, none of this stuff is needed, but I don't drive. I don't have a driver's license. So I'm not one of those people who's going to necessarily agree. Like, I don't see the value in having like an expensive car versus Civic. Like, I don't know. But based on how I like certain things, you know, I can appreciate someone like I said, when Cruz tells me, oh, I spend all this time in my car, so I need it to be a comfortable experience for me. Like, I get that. I can't argue. I get that. So I have no problem. If I don't see the value in the corals, like, I personally don't know names of corals, and it's because I'm not a good name person. So I just see like, oh, that's a nice color. It's blue versus it's a blue tip with purple base, and I'm like, oh, that looks cool.
But that's how it starts. And then after you've gotten that coral, you've spent all that time to get that coral to its optimal color and you know, growing like a weed in your system and looking beautiful, then someone may say, hey man, I want a piece of that. And you start thinking, and then more people start asking, and then you start thinking, okay, I gotta sell this coral. I gotta come up with a name, because anything you sell has to have a name. People have to know what they're buying. I mean, this is how it all starts. You know, when I got in this hobby, I was one of those guys who said, I'm not buying those limited edition corals. I mean, you got to realize I lived, you know, 15 minutes from Steve Tyree, you know, and I'm like, I'm not spending that kind of money on Tyree corals. You know, I'll make my own limited editions is what I said. And I never bought any of his corals. I made my own corals beautiful, and sure enough, was able to trade for anything I wanted. Kind of the way, I mean, anyone can do that. Divers don't pick brown corals. It may look brown to you when you see it, but if you can color it up and you got that blue thumb, you know, you can have beautiful corals too. But nobody wants the brown corals. They want the pretty corals. They want the ones with the crazy colors.
Yeah, let me get that brown.
Everybody wants it.
What you got?
I got lots of brown corals.
I'll come get them right now.
No, take the Hollywood Stunner from him. That's the one you want.
Dude, I got a Hollywood Stunner is probably 12 inches across.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
You know, I brought.
It's gorgeous.
You know, I had Hollywood.
Gorgeous.
I tried to
love
get
it.
Hollywood Stunner away at Reefer-Palooza, and no one would take it.
Wait, what happened?
I tried to give away Hollywood Stunner at Reefer-Palooza. No one.
You should have gave it. You should have gave it to that school.
They were trying to sell theirs.
You should have been like, here you go.
Listen, that thing. I eventually found someone to take it, and he's a new reefer, so he'll learn the pitfalls of the Hollywood Stunner.
Dude, you need to do exactly what I said. Is take the Hollywood Stunner, right? Just throw it in the sump, let it die, and then put some like nice encrusting corals on it, and then sell it as a played-in like Jason Fox and Jack-O-Lantern.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Yo, Gary, there's your new hustle.
Oh man, I don't think I have room for Hollywood Stunner, so I gave it to someone.
Dude, mine is on the side. Like mine is actually vertical with the tank right now. I can't lay flat.
Yeah, I didn't have space for it. I'm okay with it.
Yo.
If I come across some nice chalice, at least I know I can grow it. But I'm not. Yeah.
You know, the
Yes.
weird thing is, Hollywood Center really isn't a typical chalice. It because I can't keep chalices alive in my tank.
Isn't it a mycelium?
Yeah, it's not a chalice. They just call
Yeah.
it a chalice because chalices
What happened?
Were hot.
What happened is when the chalice craze
Were hot. Yeah.
were hot.
Mm-hmm.
Australia and not Australia. I mean, Indo is mostly Indo. Started sending over these mycelium, but you would order chalice, and they would send you mycelium.
Yeah.
Half of your order would be mycelium. And the other half would be.
Is Hollywood Center the only mycelium?
I'm pretty sure the Hollywood Center is a mycelium.
No, is it the only one?
No. There's lots.
What
of
else?
different.
What else falls in that family?
I don't even know if anyone has them anymore because no one wants them.
Well, I'm looking at Vivid Aquariums. I just searched mycelium, and there's a few corals out there that maybe I thought were. Wait, the cup coral is a mycelium?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking at live.
It might be a type of mycelium.
It is. Oh man.
Yeah, I hate those. Like the scroll corals, I hate them.
Oh man, yes. I'm looking at. I just searched for mycelium, and I'm looking
How
at.
did you spell it?
MYCEDIUM.
Yep, that's it.
And there actually are. Yep, the cup coral is a mycelium.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
Yeah, the Hollywood Stunner is not a real chalice.
Yeah. Yep.
I wonder if the Pectinia falls into that family.
All right, guys. It is. I'm sorry, but it is 11:15 here.
I don't care what time it is.
It's not even dark here.
You're not going nowhere.
You're on the West Coast.
Oh.
This was a great discussion, even though it was supposed to be about tanks on vacation. So when I publish this, I'm actually going to change the title because I don't think we discussed anything regarding prepping your tank for vacation. It ended up being some good discussion, so I'll have to figure out a new title.
Well, if you want to talk about prepping your tank for vacation, don't do anything less than a week out. Don't change nothing less than a week out.
That's the only advice I have for people. Last year, you remember we were talking about the Zeovit tank earlier?
Uh-huh.
You know why my Zeovit tank? Yes, I swapped. I probably should have done the transition to Triton a little bit, slower instead of ripping it out. But you know what killed my Zeovit tank? I was leaving for vacation on Saturday, go to Atlanta, and Friday night, package from BRS arrived, and I just, it was just sitting there itching me. So I was leaving the next day on vacation. I think 11 a.m. and 6 a.m. that morning, I was in Home Depot buying supplies to swap my return pump. So sure enough, I swapped my return pump 2 hours before I left on vacation. And I don't need to explain what happened, but things went bad. Return pump failed or something didn't. ATO didn't pump. All the dosing, all the cooling, everything was in the sun. So the tank died.
Yeah, that's my best advice is telling people don't change nothing a week. I mean, you can dump your skimmer cup, but don't clean your skimmer. Don't change your media if you got carbon or anything. Do all that stuff a week out before you leave, because you never know. I mean, let me not say you never. If something bad's gonna happen, it's gonna happen when you leave.
I wish I was having these words of wisdom like 2 months ago.
Well, I'm sorry. But I've been in the hobby for a really long time, and being president of an aquarium club, I have other people's failures to draw on as well. So it's not just my failures. I got 100 other guys who have shared their failures with me as well, and we all say it 1 week out. Don't change nothing.
I agree 100%. I'm gonna agree with you there. All right, Billy Pipes, are you still here, Mr. Billy?
Yeah.
All right, Billy, thank you for the tank. I'll be putting up the tank this weekend, 9 days before I go on vacation.
There you go.
That's if I don't get to do it Saturday, then it's not going up until I get back. That's my goal. If I can't get it up and running Saturday, then it's staying there until, because I need at least 8 days in order to make sure no leaks, no anything. So if I don't get it up Saturday, then I'm just gonna, not do it at all.
Don't over tighten those bulkheads, because when I did it with water and just hand tightened it, it was solid.
All right. Greg, thank you for joining.
Yes.
Rip.
Congrats on the new tank.
Yep. Bubble tip and enemy tank. I am excited. My wife is excited. It's her tank.
Get that Colorado sunburst.
I'm working on it.
Like 6 of them.
Rip, thank you for joining. TMG, always fun.
You're welcome.
Everyone in the chat, Dave, thank you. DM's Reef, Fishy Snowman, K-Town Reefer. I said Fishy already. I know DeAndre was there. DeAndre, I missed you. Thank you to SC Reefer for the T-shirt. Dano's Reef, Paul, Reef Community Worldwide. Woody's Reef was in here. OG's Fish Room, I missed you, man. AL. Reef People was in earlier. Awoken. All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night, guys.
Good night.
Hey, have a good night, everybody.
Later.